certainty of death, small chance of success. What are we waiting for?
Fellas, I feel this is my lucky day.
Brilliant.
Hey, and welcome to another episode of Rankum. It's going to be a fun one today because we're going to be talking about the top 12 movies of 2012. This is the first time we've done a whole year, so for all those, this could be a long one, this could be a short one. Depends on how well we agree. But I've got a great panel here. Over here, we've got Zach. Zach, how's it going?
Good. This is my first time doing a Rankum, and I'm excited to see what movies we come out with.
Also, we've got Chris. Chris, how's it going?
Going good. 2012 was a great year for movie. I've been in college during this year. Did a lot of movies that were great this year. Happy to talk about a year that I love the movie.
We've got Dylan here. Dylan, how's it going?
It's going real well. 2012 was a very formidable year in terms of like building my awareness as a film fan and just kind of like looking at more movies than just like the very big blockbusters. You know, it was a great year for all types of movies, so I'm very excited to be talking about all of them.
And last but not least, we've got Jordan. Jordan, how's it going?
This is about movies from 2012. I thought we were talking about the disaster movie 2012. Awkward. No, it's good. Got my list here. I'm ready to roll.
I mean, I don't hate the movie 2012 myself, so but it also didn't come out in 2012, strangely enough. That being said, how this show works, we're going to go around thinking a nominated movie from 2012 we think belongs on a top 12 list, and then at the end we rank them. But before we get into that, every time when I do these, I do a poll the next day. This is what the polls thought of our Ryan Reynolds movies. So as you can see, they agreed on us with Free Guy. Deadpool was tied up there at number 1. Then Pikachu, Proposal, Van Wilder, Just Friends. Definitely Maybe, Rating, Crudes, Safe House, and Woman Gold and Hitman's Bodyguard were right at the bottom there. But yeah, but
solid.
Zach,
solid list.
What is the first movie you're going to bring up?
It's actually at the top of my list, and I would not doubt that it would be on everybody's list, and that is The Avengers.
You keep going.
Oh, I was just going to say that before last year, it was actually my favorite MCU movie. So, it's always had a high spot on my list.
Chris, what do you say about The Avengers?
Yeah, The Avengers is great. Not my favorite MCU movie. I do think the middle had to drag a little bit in it. But I do love The Avengers a lot. It what the first team up on the MCU put together, and a fun movie. A good laugh. We don't talk about directed that much anymore, but a great fun MCU movie. Definitely yes for me.
Dylan, what do you say about The Avengers?
Yeah, as a kid, I was always more DC comic oriented, not as much Marvel. So like when I saw The Avengers, I hadn't seen a lot of the other movies before it. So like the team up to me wasn't as epic seeing it back then because, you know, my favorite was the Hulk. I loved seeing him. And then Iron Man I was familiar with. But like I didn't really know Thor. I didn't know Captain America too well. But it was a really great way of like kind of easing myself into being an MCU fan, just seeing all these things come together. And I think we take it for granted now, especially because this is so commonplace now to see all these big team ups with all these franchises. But back then it was kind of unheard of. It was kind of a will it ever happen type thing. Will they ever be able to get all these properties in one? So I think for its iconicness and the way it, kind of introduced this trend and kind of like set the stage for bigger movies to come. I agree with Chris. Like it's not my favorite of the Avengers films even. I think it's been done bigger and better since. So I think time has not been as great to it as it was fresh in 2012. But again, it's the Avengers. It's the biggest movie of that year, I think. I don't know if that's for sure box office wise, but it's one of the biggest movies of the last decade. It set the trends for so many films to come since. So I will give it a yes.
Jordan, what do you say about the Avengers?
Well, when the Avengers came out, is at a time where I wasn't really seeing all these movie trailers drop online. So I remember just walking around a movie theater and I saw the poster for it. I'm like, they're finally doing it. Like they're finally teaming up all these characters that I love so much. Because I actually grew up reading all the Avengers comic books, well, like all the Marvel ones, and so I was a big Marvel guy, and so that was like a really big moment for me seeing that. It's not my favorite MCU, but by any means, it's probably like fifth or sixth on my list. Like, I think Dylan was a little right. That time has not been as kind to it. Maybe it doesn't hold up as well, but still really, really good. It's actually for 2012 though, it holds up great because it's my favorite movie of 2012. So I'm gonna say yes.
Yeah, and with that, it makes the list. I also would have suggested the Avengers. It really is a great movie, and it's one of those ones that, like, this is one we knew that they were planning on doing. But if you told me you're going to get all these characters in one movie together, it's like, and this was the first movie you're going to do it in, it's like, it's crazy. You need to do solo movies to build up, which they did in the Avengers. They didn't do what the DCU did; it just rushed.
Yeah, a little rushed.
But with that, the Avengers does make this list. Chris, what is
Nice.
And just to clarify, it was the number one movie of 2012 box office wise. Chris, what is the next movie you're going to bring up?
I'm doing go with one that we also probably will say yes to. One I actually saw when I was at college. One of my favorite going to the movie theater when I was at college. It's probably my favorite of the Bond movie on Skyfall. I think my favorite Craig movie. I think it's a wonderful Bond film. You know, we get all the that we get Q introduced. We sadly get death, but we get Ray Fine introduced. They have phenomenal villain in terms of how we about them. Cinematography is great, the acting great, the script is really good. It's a Bond movie. That and continuing way out the two Bond movies I hold to my heart that I love. That beat Bond to me, and I feel I had so much fun watching theater with audience that were cheering at moment, clapping at moment, with such an audience. Saying the thing I had with the Avengers, that type of audience experience. And I love Skyfall. I will rewatch it any year, anytime. The one Bond movie I will rewatch because continue while.
Dylan, what do you say about Skyfall?
Yeah, in 2012, I haven't seen this movie since it came out in 2012. I saw it actually when it came on demand afterwards, so I didn't see it in theaters, but I remember it being visually very gorgeous, very well choreographed, all those like little action sequences and just all the different design elements were really nice. I'm not the biggest James Bond guy, not in the fact that I don't like James Bond, just I haven't had the time to actually go through and like watch a bunch of James Bond. I started like a binge before No Time to Die, got delayed because of the pandemic, so I put that on hold, and I still haven't like gone back to doing that marathon. So I've seen a few James Bond movies here and there, but I don't have as much of a love for the franchise. Even the Daniel Craig movies, I've only seen one or two of them. I did see the most recent few. But Skyfall, it's very impressively made, and I enjoyed it, I think, when I see it, but I don't think I would give it a yes, only because it's been so long and it doesn't really stick in my brain as one of the best in 2012, in my opinion. But it's one I'm really excited to go back and watch once I finally get back to that Bond marathon and watch them all, because I've heard from so many people it's like either number one or two on most people's lists, either that or GoldenEye or Casino Royale. Like those are like the top tier Bond movies, so I'm excited to go back and watch it, but for me right now it's a no.
Jordan, what do you say about Skyfall?
Well, we're going right down my list as far as I have them ranked. Zach, you picked my number one. Chris, you picked my number two. So this one's pretty easy for me. Skyfall is my favorite James Bond movie of all time. I love this movie. I'm a huge James Bond fan. I actually just started doing a rewatch of all the James Bond movies. I just barely started, so I've only watched Dr. No and From Russia with Love, but I want to go through them all in chronological order because I haven't seen all of them before. There's probably 5 or 6 that I probably haven't ever seen before. But yeah, Skyfall's great. Like just seeing Daniel Craig, like going back to one of the homes that he grew up in, bringing back the original car, you bring back so many amazing elements that just makes the James Bond movies great. And then also having Javier Bardem just absolutely kill it as Raul Silva. He's just truly a menacing villain, I think. So yeah, that's an easy yes for me for Skyfall. So
Skyfall is currently is my number one movie of 2012. And look, this is one that I honestly haven't seen it since. I didn't get it. I was planning on rewatching it, just couldn't find time to fit it in. They've just dropped all the James Bond movies onto Amazon Prime for me.
Yes.
So I do plan on starting a rewatch at some stage. But Skyfall did start the streak of Bond songs winning Best Original Song at the Oscars, because since Skyfall, none of them have missed.
It's a great Bond song too. Yeah, I want to shout out Adele. Yeah.
Yeah. And surprisingly, the Casino Royale song was not nominated, which I forgot. But Zach, what would you have said about Skyfall?
Now, it's funny because kind of like Jordan, I'm actually watching the Bond movies for the first time, and I just watched Dr. No like a couple days ago.
Nice.
And so I've actually never seen Skyfall, but I've heard how good it is, and I do actually like the Adele song. So I'm kind of mixed on it. So it might be a no for me just because I haven't seen it.
But that being said, it still makes it because it's still got 3 out of the 5 that it needs. Dylan, what is the next movie you're going to bring up?
It's tough because like I have so many I like. A few more I'll save for later because I don't think they'll be brought up right away. But one, I'm going to pick one of my favorites. I'm not going to say it's my favorite because there are a bunch that I would put tied at number 1. I can't make up my mind. But this was my first film from this certain specific director. He is my favorite director, one of my favorite directors. I hate to say my absolute favorite because I have so many, but Django Unchained. It was my first Quentin Tarantino film. I had never seen a Tarantino film. I saw it in theaters when I was in high school, watching it, enjoying it. And then just as it went on and on and on, I just fell more and more in love with the style and the pulp nature of it, and just all the amazing Western homages, and also just the newer modern influences as well. The dialogue is so interesting and very, very well paced, well edited, well choreographed. Those action sequences, great performances. Christoph Waltz was my first time seeing him in anything because I hadn't seen Inglourious Bastards yet. Jamie Foxx giving my favorite performance of his. Leonardo DiCaprio stealing the show as a villain, usually something we don't see from him. It was just a very well-rounded film. It just really ticked all the boxes and what it needed to be. Still entertaining to this day, going back to it. So many iconic lines, one-liners, and phrases, and the music choices are great too. Like, it's just one of my favorite films of the past 10 years, past 20. It's one I always revisit, and it's special because it is the first one of Tarantino's I ever saw. So it definitely holds a place in my heart there. It's not my favorite Tarantino, but it is the first, and it is probably one of my favorite films of that year. So Django Unchained is my first pick.
Jordan, what do you say about Django Unchained?
Yeah, Django Unchained, awesome. Like I loved Django Unchained, and it's a movie that's like really like a masterclass on how you do a Western, right? Like it's just you have really menacing villains in like Leo DiCaprio, Christoph Waltz, even Samuel Jackson, and then you have a great hero. You got Jamie Foxx in there, and then you even have some like surprise people that'll pop up like a Jonah Hill or something like that. So that's always a fun time. Just the way that it's shot, the music, like you mentioned, Dylan. Yeah, like it's all great. So yeah, this is a pretty easy yes for me. So because I'm a big Tarantino fan. So yeah, Django Unchained is a yes.
I do really like Django Unchained. It definitely is a good movie. And this is another one I really wanted to rewatch for this because there's a lot of movies from 2012 that I just have not seen since I first saw them. So not a lot of them are fresh in my mind, but this is an easy yes because it's apparently in my top 10. So I'm gonna say yes to most. Like I've got a set number I'm going to say yes to regardless because I do like them. But Zach, what would you have said about what do you say about Django Unchained?
It's actually on my top 10 movies of 2012 list anyway. So for me, it is a yes. I echo everything that was said with how the movie looked to all the different performances. But yeah, so it's a yes from me.
And Chris, what you said about Django Unchained?
I love Django Unchained. My only slight criticism, I don't love the Quentin Tarantino bit to the end. I think it really takes you out of the movie. And then it does pick up once you get back to the last couple minutes. I love everything I think DiCaprio gave one of his best performance. I really wish he got Oscar nomination. I think that whole thing alone is Oscar-winning line. Samuel Jackson, great. Jonah Hill cameo, great. Jamie Foxx, great. Christoph Waltz is great. Kenny Washington is really good as well. Like a lot of people forget the end movie.
Yeah.
It's a great movie. One of my favorite Quentin Tarantino movies we watch all the time. My dad has it on a lot, and I always laugh rewatching moments of it. Yeah, hell yes for me.
Jordan, what is your next nomination?
So I want to bring up maybe one that might be a little more underrated. We still have a whole bunch of slots left, so maybe I can talk you guys into it. Maybe we'll see. But this is one that just kind of came under the radar for a lot of people and really surprised me. But I want to go with Safety Not Guaranteed. So this movie I thought was great. It's directed by Colin Trevorrow. So I mean, he did all the Jurassic World movies, and yeah, like he's been a director that's been really impressing me lately. And yeah, the movie's a lot of fun. You have Mark Duplass in there. You have Jake Johnson in some roles that are a lot of fun. You have Aubrey Plaza, Karen Soni is like the kind of like third wheel guy on this little road trip they have to go to try and investigate if this weirdo played by Mark Duplass actually built a time machine and wants to take someone back. And he says safety not guaranteed because he doesn't know what's going to happen if you actually go back in a time. I won't spoil the ending for anyone who hasn't seen it, but it's a pretty cool ending. I think that's a lot of fun. So yeah, I'm going to go for Safety Not Guaranteed and see what you guys think. So.
Yeah, I have not seen this movie. I've vaguely heard of it, but I just haven't seen it.
Zach, that's great.
Zach, what do you say about Safety Not Guaranteed?
Like you, I've heard of it, and it sounds like a cool premise, but I've never seen it, so I feel like I really can't judge the movie.
Right.
Chris, have you seen Safety Not Guaranteed?
I actually have seen. I actually rented it for Netflix when they used to do rental. I love this movie. This is a weird ass movie.
Yeah,
but
it's a little weird, but it's fun.
I love the performance. I love the story. It's very funny, very heartwarming. It's a really good movie. Recommend to watch, and they make you hate what that Colin Trevorrow went on to do.
Yeah.
Type movie and didn't do well with that, but it's a much better film for him. Yeah, I do recommend to anybody who never heard of it. Right.
So is that a yes? So I'm guessing it's a yes.
Yes for me. I think yes to movie that people haven't seen. I would like to.
No, it's all good. I'm just making sure that's you were saying yes. But Dylan, have you seen Safety Not Guaranteed?
I have. It was part of my binge over the pandemic. What have I not seen? Let me just go through all these movies. And I remember seeing it and not loving it. I think it was just. I think you have to be in the right mood for its style of comedy and different tonal variations and shifts throughout. I for some reason didn't click with it. Only because time travel stories really rely on their concept, and I did like this concept, but it didn't do anything past that particularly intrigued me or interested me. But it also could be just the way I was watching it. I was binging it with a bunch of other movies, and I might just got lost in translation. So I might want to revisit this now because I hear how passionate you guys are about it, and because I do actually like Colin Trevorrow. I like Jurassic World. Actually, I'm one of the minority that's it's fun. It's like Taco Bell. It's not good for you, but it's still enjoyable at times.
I like it.
But yeah, but I do think he's. I mean, some of his movies are not great, but this was one that I was just on, and I do owe it another viewing just to kind of fully grasp it and try to like it more, because it does have a very interesting premise, really good actors, but it would be a no for me. But I do recommend it because it is lesser seen, and I like that it was brought up.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Safety Not Guaranteed does not make this list.
Go check it out though.
Yeah, please do.
But yeah, I'm also going to try for one which I have no idea how this is going to go, but it's really high up on my list. But that's partly because of my personal enjoyment of the singer in general. I'm going for the Katy Perry documentary Part of Me, the concert movie that she did. because this was well, I mean, it was theatrically released anyway, but I do allow like anything that wasn't theatrically. But look, I'm a big fan of Katy Perry as a singer, and this is one of those documentaries slash concert movies I went to that I really enjoyed. She she tackles a lot. It's been a while since I've actually seen it, admittingly, but this is one that I remember loving a lot. But as I said, this is probably more of my enjoyment of the singer myself, and but yeah, Katy Perry part of me is what I'm bringing up. I don't know how this is going to go, so I'm going to find out. Zach, what do you say about Katy Perry part of me?
Again, I've never seen it. I've actually never heard of it until you brought it up. But I'm not a huge Katy Perry fan. But so it would be a no from me.
Chris, what do you say about Katy Perry part of me?
Sadly, I haven't seen it. Me back 2012 does a lot of documentary back then. I do like Katy Perry. I enjoy her as a judge of American Idol. I think her stick is very funny half the time. But yeah, I sadly had to say no because I haven't seen it. But I do like Katy Perry. Sorry.
Dylan, what do you say about Katy Perry part of me?
I have never seen it, but I've heard her song part of me. I've heard a lot of her songs. I like her music, I think, more than I like her. But again, it's hard to gauge her as a person just because, you know, you see her in a different setting publicly than she is privately and whatever. But yeah, maybe I will watch this and maybe become a bigger fan of hers because my brother's favorite song is Fireworks. So, you know, like it runs in the family that we love Katy Perry or whatever. So maybe I owe it to my brother and my family to watch this documentary, but I've never seen it. So I will abstain from voting.
Jordan, what do you say about Katy Perry part of me?
Well, I'm kind of lukewarm on Katy Perry as a singer. Like I like a lot of her early stuff. I actually went to the Warped Tour back in the day, and surprisingly, Katy Perry was actually at the Warped Tour. She kind of felt maybe a little out of place, but some of her older stuff does kind of fit, maybe a little bit for that vibe. But I'm just not a big fan of a lot of her more recent stuff, and then I also haven't even seen this movie, so for that reason, I gotta say no.
But yeah, Katy Perry part of me doesn't make this list.
I'm sorry.
I mean, honestly, I didn't expect
You
it
had to shoot
to.
the shot. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I always try for these like out of left field picks early on. But
Nice.
Zach, what is your next nomination?
So the next movie for me is Life of Pi, and mainly because it's just visually stunning, but I also really liked the chemistry that you see between the tiger and the young boy in this, and I really enjoyed the story as well. So, so that's my pick.
Chris, what do you say about Life of Pi?
Yeah, this is on my list. This is a film that I went in not knowing much. I remember seeing the movie but being really blown away by it. It's a really impressive movie. I think it's a story that I do relate to, and I love the back and forth between his presence out and his past out, to hearing the story. And when you get that realization at the end, it does hit you like a ton of bricks emotionally, like the real truth behind it. And I do love my favorite one of my favorite from the director, and it's a film I would love to go back and rewatch sometime soon. Right.
Dylan, what do you say about Life of Pi?
Yeah, visually one of the most groundbreaking, beautiful things to come out in the last like 10 or 15 years. It's gorgeous to watch. Ang Lee really just, the way he's evolved as a filmmaker is really impressive. You know, The Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragons, and then, you know, you kind of scale it back with Brokeback Mountain and really go story forward. It's a beautiful film. And then Life of Pi, you know, very visually stunning. Also has a really good story. I just remember watching this and being like, oh, I wish I could have seen this in a theater. Of all the movies of this year that I didn't get to see in the theater, this is the one I wish I had. Yeah, it's gorgeous, and I think just in terms of technical achievement, it has to go on the list. So I would say yes.
Jordan, what do you say about Life of Pi?
So I do enjoy Life of Pi quite a bit. I will say that's a movie much more enjoyable when you see it in the theater. Like if you ever get a chance to see it on the big screen, it's very visually stunning, all the colors and everything that they do. It's a fun kind of story where this guy's just telling the story of being lost at sea with the giant tiger. So it's pretty interesting. But I went back for 2012 because I'm just now getting into Letterboxd and stuff. So I'm using Letterboxd to kind of do a lot of rankings now. And I went back I ranked about 65 movies from 2012 because I haven't even ranked the 2012 movies ever yet. And so Life of Pi ended up pretty low on my list, honestly. Like just compared to what else came out in 2012, just a really stacked year. It is a great movie, and I do really like it, but it's not going to make my top 12, so I got to say no.
But yeah, I really do like Pie. Pie is good. My favorite's Blueberry.
Yes.
I actually haven't seen Love of Pie. This is another one that I wanted to get to because it's one I've always been meaning to get to, but it's just finding the time in amongst work and stuff is not easy half the time. Unfortunately, my job doesn't allow me to watch movies while I'm working at the same time. So,
yeah, that makes it tough.
But that being said, it still makes this regardless. Chris, what is the next movie you're going to bring up?
So I'm going to go with something I'm not sure a lot you guys have seen. I just did a first time watch this year. And I would like to get a foreign language movie on this list. I'm going to go with a film that is difficult to watch, but the acting is amazing. It's really good story. And it's really good foreign movie with phenomenal performance by actors you don't really see in blockbuster movies sometimes. I'm going to go with The Hunt. It's Matt Mikkelsen movie. It's a really difficult movie because it's dealing with a sensitive subject matter involving him being accused and showing a kid that he worked at the nursery. He is innocent of crime. We know that from the very beginning of his private area. And the town turned against him. You see the small Danish town that turned against him, believing the story with the huge misunderstanding there. It's one of his best performances. You have it check out. I would really recommend it. It's a movie that keep you engaged. It's horrifying at times. I will give some of the awful thing that happened to him, because what the town does to him is really horrifying at times. But at least it's one of the best acting I've ever seen in any foreign movie, where he does confronting his friend and does telling him, looking, I will say how the thing goes, but it does hit you in ton. I would recommend it. We'd love to get a fun language movie on here. You guys haven't seen it, I do recommend it. Also by the same guy who did Matt Mikkelsen, one of his more recent movie, Not Around, with another really good movie. So I do recommend it. So The Hunt. Not to be confused with the American propaganda hunt from 2020.
Oh yeah.
I was going to make that joke, Jesus wouldn't, but Dylan, what do you say about the 2012 Hunt?
It's interesting because Chris was saying I want to get a foreign language movie on here, and my next pick was going to be a foreign language film, but he went with a different foreign language film. So I have actually not seen The Hunt, but I do love Winterberg. I love Another Round. It was on my top 10 last year for 2020 or 2020. So yeah, I'm definitely intrigued to check this out. But it's cool that Chris was like, yeah, I want to get an international film on this list because I also want to, and I will probably bring one up very shortly. But The Hunt is a no for me only because I haven't seen it. So.
Jordan, what do you say about The Hunt?
Yeah, so I had a feeling that this list might be pretty divisive because you looked it up. There are a total of 403 movies released in 2012, so a lot to choose from. And The Hunt's just one that I've only heard the title. I don't even know like what it is. I don't really know really much about it, so I have not seen it. So I can't vote for it. So I got to probably say no.
Yeah, I'm not, like, those that know me know that I'm not a big foreign language person. Like, I'm one of those ones, I'll go see it if it's sort of out there and I know, like for example, like I went to see Worst Person in the World this year in cinemas just because it was getting a lot of Oscar attention and all that. I've not seen The Hunt. I didn't realize there was another Hunt movie called The Hunt out there until right this moment.
What's the good thing about this? You can bring awareness to these type of movies, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Really
good.
But
and it's always a good prepared for to be a little bit about stuff that matters in the film.
Zach, have you seen Mads Mikkelsen, The Hunt?
No, I think he's good in other movies, but I have not seen this movie, so I really can't recommend it because I haven't seen it.
Yeah, stay tuned. I debated it in a debate coming up, hopefully in TMG in the near future.
Oh, nice.
But unfortunately, The Hunt doesn't make this list. Dylan, what movie are you going to bring up?
Well, I kind of said it earlier. I'm going to bring up another international film. It probably won't be seen by a lot of people in this panel, but it's okay because I want to bring awareness to these movies. As Jordan said, it's a good way to like just kind of get these movies out there and talked about. So this was actually the first year where I like made it a goal to watch every Best Picture nominee. And this one nominee came up. It was this French film called Amour. And I was like, this looks interesting. And I watched it, and it was one of the most devastating movies I've ever seen in my life. It was one of the scariest movies I've ever seen. And it's not a horror film. It is a drama about two older people, one who is losing memories. She has dementia, and her husband who has to deal with her illness and how to approach it. And her daughter also kind of in the family trying to, aid this disability, but also trying to prepare for the end of their lives as an older couple. And it's really harrowing, really, really sad. But it was a really great thing that I went through all these Best Picture nominees because up till that point, international films weren't always nominated for Best Picture. It's when they extended it to 10. Now we've seen a bunch of international films, Amour being the first one. Then we see, or not the first one ever, but of this, expansion to 10, we also have, Parasite winning a few years later, Roma getting nominated. This year we see Drive My Car. So it's really cool that because the Academy expanded from 5 to 10 nominees or 6 to 10 nominees, we're getting a lot more international cinema in the Best Picture race. And I think this one was one that just surprised me. I didn't know anything about it going in. Blew me away, but also like devastated me. I haven't been able to watch it since. It's one of those movies that just has stuck with me, and one that I really, really, really enjoy. Not enjoy because it doesn't make me happy, but enjoy talking about and recommending to people because I think it's a really, really beautiful piece of art. So the movie is Amour from 2012. I'm sure not many people have seen it, but I just want to raise awareness for it because it's a really, really harrowing and devastating motion picture.
Jordan, what do you say about Amour?
Well, I'll just use a term that I use for movies like this. This does not sound like a Jordan type of movie that I would be interested in at all. It just doesn't really fit me with like the foreign language and the old people and all that stuff. But we never know though. Like I'm willing to give anything a chance, but I wasn't really rushing out to see this or anything, so I have not seen it. So I gotta say no.
But yeah, I need to see a more foreign language movies.
Right. Zing.
But the lead wasn't the lead actress was nominated for Best Actress, wasn't she?
Yes. Emmanuelle Riva was nominated for Best Actress, I believe, at the time, and she still has the record. She was the oldest Best Actress nominee when she was nominated, and she has sadly passed away in the past few years. But yeah, she I think had the record or has the record now.
But yeah, this is one that I've seen pop up on a few of my streaming services. But once again, I've not got around to watching this. I've seen it a few times. Like I've heard a lot about this movie. I might give it a shot. But either it just didn't line up with the topic, and then when it does line up with the topic, I still don't watch it. So I'll probably watch it as soon as I get off this. But Zach, have you seen Amour?
No, but I have heard of it, and again, I'm always up for watching any movie, but sadly, I haven't seen this one, so I can't recommend it.
Chris, have you seen Amour?
Sadly, I have not. I do love foreign language movie, but it's been on my list to watch. That's like a lot of foreign language movies you need to watch, like that, and like Worst Person in the World, and Drive My Car, a bunch of other stuff.
But with that being said, Jordan, what is the next movie going to bring up?
So this is one that I really wanted to get on the list, especially since the news of Bruce Willis came out that he has aphasia and he's going to be retiring from acting. This is probably like the last great performance that I've seen from him. So I want to go with Looper. Like this movie absolutely blew me away. Like it's just so good. Just seeing Bruce Willis going up against a younger version of himself, played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt. And I will say, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, the way he looked kind of threw me off, but it wasn't really totally about that. Like it's just about the great storytelling from Ryan Johnson. Like he Ryan Johnson, like he like seems to like put out a blockbuster and then he puts out some small movie that's like really really intriguing, like a Knives Out or something like that. So yeah, and then also you have performances from Emily Blunt, Paul Dano, Jeff Daniels is in it. So yeah, I think Looper's great, and it's one that I go back to all the times. So yeah, I'm gonna nominate Looper.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Looper. I think it's fine. I mean, when it comes to sort of time travel movies like that, sometimes they can just feel so repetitive, and the formulas just copy the same sort of formula. While the premise of this is interesting, like a time traveling assassin goes to kill his younger self, it's also one of those ones where I just don't think like I like Bruce Willis in this. I don't like anything else about the movie, but I just got bored of it. Zach, what do you say about
Fair
Looper?
enough.
It's actually funny because I forgot that this came out in 2012, and I would have definitely had it on my list if I remembered. Actually, more because Joseph Gordon-Levitt is one of my favorite actors, so I'm going to actually recommend this movie.
So that's yes for you.
That's a yes.
Chris, what do you say about Looper?
I actually do love Looper a lot. I am a bit Ryan Johnson apologist. I like a lot of the movie. I even like Left Jedi. Goes to me so much people. But I like Looper a lot. I like Emily Blunt in it. I like Django Unchained in it. I love Jeff Daniel in it. Paul Dano. Like the whole cast is really good. The acting is good, really good. Interesting story. And I like where it ended up. I think the Emily Blunt's plot is really interesting. You do sympathize with her and what's going on. Yeah, I had to say yeah. It's probably my favorite Ryan Johnson movie besides Knives Out.
With that, Looper does make the list. Dylan, what would you have said?
Yeah, it's interesting because I love Ryan Johnson. I adore his 3 episodes that he did on Breaking Bad. I think Ozymandias is the best episode of television ever. And I love Star Wars Last Jedi. I love Knives Out. I have oddly never seen Looper, though. It's like my one blind spot of his that I haven't seen. So now I'm even more excited to go check it out. But for Ryan Johnson alone, I would have tried to say yes, even though I know my vote doesn't count because I haven't seen it. But I have not seen it. So I'm excited to check it out.
But a little side note, also, I saw Ozymandias in a theater with Aaron Paul. That was one of the like cooler things that I got to do.
Cool.
So I'm from Idaho, and so is Aaron Paul. So he came.
Nice.
So yeah.
But yeah, for my next pick, it's probably going to be another clean sweep of haven't seen it because I'm bringing up another. I'm bringing up another fine movie. It's fine for all you guys, but not for me because I'm bringing up Sionis 2.
There's a second one.
It's a sequel to Reading, which is known to you guys as American Reading for whatever reason. But this is Sionis Reading 2 Unfinished Business. And look, when it comes to New Zealand movies, they're really good. Like when it comes well, yes, a lot of the comedy stuff is very specific to like New Zealand style comedy, but this is one of those. Sionis Reading 2 is one of those sequels which I didn't know we needed, but now that they've got it, I found it really, it was really entertaining. Like, and I mean, for all you American people, like if you're into Power Rangers, you'll probably will recognize some of these people because a lot of these people that were in this have been in Power Rangers at some stage because for the last however many years, Power Rangers has been formed in New Zealand. But then again, for part of that year, it's also been banned in New Zealand. So, which is really ironic. Yeah. So yeah. But basically, the premise to Sionis Reading 2 is basically like it follows on when a lot of the couples that got together in the first one are all happily married and they but then they have to get it back together and all that. But when they get back, the guy come back was like Sione's dies, and so they all have to come back to sort of come to this funeral, and then they have to follow on, and do unfinished business for Sione and finish off stuff they started. Once again, it's a fun movie. People really should watch more New Zealand movies because, like, they're good. Because a lot of them do go underseen, but I think that is partly because like they get released in the States and just no one really knows about them unless they're actually physically searching them out and all that. So Zach, have you seen Sione's Wedding 2 or American Wedding 2, whichever?
I've never actually heard of it until right now, so I don't know how much I can really give on the movie, so I would probably not recommend it.
Chris, I think you've heard me talk about the first one before. Have you checked out the second one?
No, I haven't seen either of them, but you turned me on by mentioning Power Rangers, so maybe I'll check them out.
There you go.
Power Rangers, the best way to sell New Zealand movies. Dylan, have you seen Sione's Wedding 2?
I haven't heard of it, and I'm intrigued. Yeah, so I'll check it out.
Jordan, I know you've heard me talk about the first one before. Have you checked out the second one?
Well, I've not seen either one of them, and the first one I know you brought it up for your top 64 over on tournament fights, so we got to talk about it a little bit there. But I have not seen either one of them yet. But you're bringing more awareness to it, so I'll have to go and check these movies out. Yeah, I'll say no. Yeah.
But with that, Zach, what is the next movie you're going to bring up?
Okay, I'm going to go with one that that's had some big name actors in it, but I don't know how big it really was. And that is The Impossible. This was Tom Holland in pretty much his breakout role with Naomi Watts and Ewan McGregor having to deal with the aftermath of a tsunami. So when you get to see all that they have to go through to find each other and all of that. So my movie is The Impossible.
The Impossible, is that the Ewan McGregor one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chris, what do you say about The Impossible?
I turn right now because we don't have a lot. We have spots, but we don't have a lot of them left. There's a lot I would love to get on the list. I think I do leave it to the rest of the group. I do love this movie. I think it's very impressive, especially the effect, everything. I think the acting really great, especially Tom Holland and Naomi Watts. But we got a lot. I want to try to get film on this list, and I think we got pretty much of fun. So I had to say no. If we were mentioned up earlier, I would say yes, but no right now. Okay.
Dylan, what do you say about The Impossible?
Yeah, I stand by that. This is still Tom Holland's best performance ever. I think it is a beautiful movie. I think it is so devastating to watch, but also so triumphant at the end as well. I mean, it's a really hard watch. It's a disaster film that doesn't feel fake in the slightest, like a lot of disaster films do. Like sometimes you're watching a disaster film and you're like, okay, that's a CGI tornado, like the cows going around. No, this is like legit where like I thought it was documentary footage because I was like, this looks so real, and it's not. It's just all practical effects and visual effects beautifully combined into one. The performances are great, seeing the family members separated and trying to like get back together for one another, and like Tom Holland being the one who has to kind of like man up as this kid and kind of take care of his mom who's really hurt and bruised and banged up. Yeah, so many beautiful sequences. It's one where if you want a good cry, it's good for a good cry. Yeah, I would definitely say yes to this. This is a very good film. I didn't think it would be brought up, but I'm very happy it was. So yeah, it's a yes for me.
Jordan, what do you say about The Impossible?
I saw it when it first came out, and I've only seen it once, so I probably need to go back and visit it. But I would agree, like it may be Tom Holland's best performance. I mean, I think that he's pretty great as Spider-Man, but I mean between those two, but it's one that's pretty tough to watch, just seeing everything that they have to go through to like this family. They get separated and they try to reunite and everything. But for 2012 movies, I have it ranked lower than a lot of other ones on my list that I would nominate. So I got to say no.
And once again, unfortunately, I haven't got around to seeing this. But if that doesn't make the list, Chris, what is the next movie you're going to bring up?
So I want to get an animated movie on this list, and I turn between two that I love. I don't go with the one I think should have won for best animated film 2012. I tried to break not that good. I don't go with Wreck-It Ralph. I think it's one of my personal favorites for Disney film that I loved. I love Ralph as a character. I am sympathetic with him. I like his friendship with Penelope, like Victor Feliger. I loved a lot of the Joe, a lot of Alatuda and Kincanny, aka Turbo, spoiler. But it's just a film for someone who loved playing video games and felt that hit me on a lot level. It had emotional turn. I think the idea trying to beat somebody out and not be the bad guy of the story is a story to very sympathize with. And I like how the film ends on it. I think all the jokes are funny. I think characters lovable. It should have won the best animation film of that year. I don't know how Brave beat it still to this day. But it's one of my personal favorite Disney movies of the 2010 decade. And I love it every time we watch it, so like it all.
Dylan, what do you say about Wreck-It Ralph?
Yeah, I agree, Chris, 100%. I think this should have won Best Animated Feature. I think Brave is actually, next to Cars 2, probably my least favorite Pixar movie. I just don't really click with it. This movie, though, I really clicked with, really enjoyed it. I actually went and saw this. It was between this or Life of Pi, and I kind of regret not seeing Life of Pi in theaters. I was taking my brother and sister to the movies, and I was like, oh, we'll go with the more Disney kid-friendly one, but I always regret not seeing Life of Pi on the big screen. But this was a really fun treat, no pun intended, because it's about candy. But on the big screen, it was really fun to look at, really just bursting with energy and humor and a great core message, and great use of IP without being overly indulgent in it or trying to get every Easter egg out of it. It seemed like natural within the world they built, and it didn't try too hard to be a nostalgia fest. It just kind of occurred naturally, which I really appreciate as well. Great voice acting too. John C. Reilly, Sarah Silverman, Jane Lynch. What's his name from 30 Rock who plays Fix It Felix? Jack McBrayer. Yeah. So that foursome is just so talented. Yeah, really great animated movie. I do actually kind of like the sequel a little bit more, maybe just because it's a little bit more recent. I've seen it more times, but I think this is the best animated film. And if we want to get some animated representation, it's a yes from me. So I'll say yeah.
Jordan, what do you say about Wreck-It Ralph?
Well, I love Wreck-It Ralph. Wreck-It Ralph's great, but for me, I think when it comes to animation, like you really have to hit really really hard for me to really enjoy it a lot, and to say that it's one of the best of the year, because I do really really enjoy it. I'm actually on the same page as Dylan, that I kind of prefer the sequel a little more, but this one's really really fun, but I just don't have it ranked as high as a lot of other movies. Like I did my overall ranking, it's probably ranked about 20-ish for me as far as 2012 goes, so I gotta say no just by a little bit. So
the other animated film on my list might be brought up later.
But yeah, I actually really do love the first Wreck-It Ralph. It's the better use of Pac-Man. It's a better movie that had the better use of Pac-Man in the last 10 years.
Much better, yeah.
And it definitely should have gone further on tournament fights that we did last week.
Yeah, and didn't make it too far.
But yeah, I love Wreck-It Ralph. It's an easy yes for me. I mean, and I would argue that out of the movies nominated for Best Picture that year, I'd say Wreck-It Ralph is probably the number two when it came to the votes. I think it might have just been a case of Disney and Pixar sort of splitting the votes and people going, oh, yeah, one of them's going to win. I'll give my vote to one of the other ones. I think that's probably what happened. They'll just, it's just that one vote in that. But anyway, Zach, what do you say about Wreck-It Ralph?
I do enjoy it. I actually enjoy it a lot more than the second one. I was not a big fan of the second one, but I do enjoy the story and the characters with this one, so I would give it a yes.
All right. Dylan, what is your next nomination?
So my first two were, Django and Amor. They were my prestige picks, if you will. But now I'm gonna go kind of more personal, like favorites. Like which one do I want to sit down and watch over and over and over again? And there's one comedy. This one is I hold near and dear to my heart because it was the first time ever that my dad, brother, and I went to an R-rated movie together. And it was funny because my brother and I tricked him into taking us to this movie. He didn't know what it was about. I said, it's this really, really endearing story about this guy, and he has this friend who's a bear. And my dad was like, all right, we'll go see it. And we sit down, we get there, it's a packed house. We're sitting like the second or third row, and the opening scene happens, and they're smoking a bong on the couch. And we were just cracking up for the whole time. It's Ted. I know it's not this prestige film. It did get nominated for an Oscar for Best Original Song, but it was the same year Seth MacFarlane hosted, so it was a very Ted-filled Oscar ceremony. But it's never going to make a critic's top 10 list of most prestige, artsy, fartsy pictures of the year. But when it comes to personal bias and personal picks, like this movie just has such great memories attached to it. I think every friend, close friend I've had, I've sat down and watched Ted with either for the first time or the 400th time. Just we got to watch this together. We got to commit to just making it a day and watching this one or maybe the second one, which I also enjoy. But this one, it actually does have a really sentimental, heartwarming story. It's a kid who doesn't have friends and makes this friend with his bear, and that you just happen to see them 30 years later and see where life took them naturally, as normal friendships do. The kids you were playing on the playground with might end up being the kids you're smoking with on the couch when you're older. You never know. And it has a great deal to say about just emotional maturity and knowing when and what to give up for a significant other, and the sacrifices you make and the friendships you make, and how you balance friendships and relationships. I think it has a lot more to say than just being this hilarious stoner comedy about a man and his teddy bear, but it is also a stoner comedy about a man and his teddy bear, which is awesome because the one-liners are hilarious. Like when he keeps getting his promotion at the grocery store for doing crude acts, and his boss is like, that took guts. We need guts. I'm promoting you. All such great little bits, great little cameos here and there. Ryan Reynolds, Patrick Warburton, so many great little performances, bits, roles. I could quote this probably better than any movie aside from maybe The Lion King. I've really seen it that many times and I love it. So yeah, I love this movie so much and I will stand by it. I think Ted is one of the best of 2012. So that is my nomination.
Jordan, what do you say about Ted?
Thunder Buddies for life. Yeah. So Ted's awesome. The only thing is 2012 is just so freaking stacked. And as much as I love Ted, it probably lands about 16 or 17 on my list, and it just makes the cut. Usually I give a little leeway to some of those borderline ones, but that one's just out of the borderline situation for me. So just by a fraction of a hair, I probably got to say no, but it's close though. I really love Ted, and it kind of hurts me to even say no, but there's just so many other movies I would pick, maybe just a little more than Ted. So yeah, I got to say no.
But yeah, I love Ted. This is one I actually rewatched specifically for this because I remember liking it the first time. I was I just wanted an excuse to rewatch Ted realistically.
Yeah, right.
And I mean, I'd like to imagine there's a trilogy. You got Winnie the Pooh. Ted goes in the middle because it's the Stone period. Then you got Chris Robin when friendships just step away. But yeah, Ted is great. It's an easy yes for me. And yeah, and I actually like Ted 2 just as much.
Me too. It's great.
I do too.
Zach, what do you say about Ted?
It's weird because it's I do like the movie, but it's not as high on my list for 2012 movies. So it's not going to make my cut. So for me, it's going to be a no. But I still like the movie. It's just not as high.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
Love that. That's great.
Which means,
Yeah.
Chris, it's on you. Does Ted make
Oh,
this
boy.
list?
Okay. How many spots we have left?
6.
6 spots.
Oh, well, you put it on me on this. You need a comedy on here, and I look at my list of comedy I have. And one of them, they get known for Malcolm. I know, I'm not sure how you feel about the other one. I do love Ted a lot. I love dealing with it. I thought we watched it recently, but my girlfriend never seen any Ted movie before. We had a good time we watched things both first. Yeah. Okay. I did hurt myself, but I had to say no just because we had 6 spots left, and I'm struggling here. I felt like we had so many good movies that came out this year.
It's okay.
But I do love Ted. I
Yeah.
love the humor. I love the one-liner. And I Thunder Buddy for life. And if we had mentioned it earlier, I would say yes. But we should have mentioned it earlier.
Yeah.
But Jordan, what is the next movie you're going to bring up?
So this might be my last kind of shot for an under the radar movie that I really, really love. This is like a very personal pick for me, just because I kind of feel like it's probably not going to make the list, but you never know. Like anything's possible. So there's a movie that I really like that just kind of hit me in a certain way. But it is a movie. It's called Gone. It stars Amanda Seyfried and Sebastian Stan are like the 2 main characters. You also see like Wes Bentley pop up and a few kind of recognizable character actors, Jennifer Carpenter and stuff. But basically, the synopsis is this girl's in Seattle. I mean, no, in Portland. She's in Portland, played by Amanda Seyfried, and she's just trying to kind of get her life together after her she survived a terrible kidnapping attempt, and then her sister, they believe that she's murdered, that she's gone, but Amanda Seyfried, she just believes with all her heart that she's still alive somewhere, she's still out there. So she keeps going to the police, and the police, they don't believe her, they think she's crazy. It's kind of one of those like cry wolf stories, and so she can't get any help from anyone, so she has to take it into her own hands, and she goes on this journey to put all these clues together to try to solve what happened to her sister. I also like just seeing some of the filmography. Also, just as someone who lives in the Northwest, I've been to Portland so many times. I think it's a really interesting city. I'm kind of sad what it's kind of become now. It's not what it once was, but like if you get out on the outskirts, like it's a really beautiful city that's kind of up in the mountains with a lot of pine trees and stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna shoot my shot for the movie Gone and see what you guys think. So.
Yeah, I've not even heard of this movie till right now. So yeah, Zach, what do you say about Gone?
Yeah, it's a fun little movie.
I've heard of this movie, but I've never seen it, so I can't say yes because I just haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
Chris, have you heard of or seen Gone?
I think I've seen Gone. I'm out with bet. I'm not hurting your feelings. Just say no and just leave it there. Just no.
Dylan, have you heard of or seen Gone?
If I have heard of it, it is gone from my memory. No, I don't remember what I don't know what this movie is, but I'm excited to check it out. This is the great thing about Rankum is that like all these movies that we're saying no to, like it's still such a great recommendation for everyone else and for people watching. So I love that we're bringing awareness to other smaller movies rather than just like hitting all the big blockbusters right away, which I really like. So thanks for bringing it up, Jordan.
But yeah, I just looked it up and it it's on the Wikipedia page. It was saying it was a box office disappointment. Like it only made $18 million.
Yeah,
worldwide. And it only has a 12% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I really enjoy it. I think that it's a good time. So
well, that's the thing. All movies are subjective. I'm not saying you're a fool for enjoying it. I'm just saying critics really didn't like it.
Yeah.
But I'm going to shoot my shot for an under the radar. And this is probably going to be my last shot here too. But
We have a few
yeah,
of them.
I'm going to go because this is when I actually rewatched early in the year. Just because I couldn't. I really want to see this movie again. I'm going for the best exotic Marigold hotel. And you've got Maggie Smith, Bull Nighy, Penelope, Walton, Tom Wilson, Judi Dench, Dev Patel, all in this movie. Is like basically like the premise is like they go several British retirees move to India to stay in this exotic hotel, which is advertised as a retirement home, and Maggie Smith's character is one of those ones that that is kind of like not really not wanting to go because I mean actually she's not a nice person, but she also went there for a cheaper, quicker hip hop promotion, and it's one of those ones that this is a great movie, and like overall, because I'm not going to spoil it if you haven't seen it, but I recommend seeing it, checking it out. It's on Disney Plus if you're outside of America. I don't know if you can find it on Disney Plus there, but it probably might be on Hulu or something if it's not. But this is just one of those feel-good stories which I wish got a lot more tension. And that, but it's just, but yeah. Zach, what do you say about the best exotic Marigold hotel?
This movie is actually on a list of mine to see, but I just haven't seen it yet. So, for that reason, I have to say no. But I mean, I've heard good things about it. I just can't recommend it.
But
Chris, what do you say about the best exotic Marigold hotel?
So my reaction, I love this movie. I think I saw it on DVD. My mom rented it, and I'm like, oh god, this movie's too bad. I fell in love with it from start to finish. Love the cast. I love Dave Patel in it. It's a warm, feel-good movie, and we had to be a small movie that not a lot of people think I'm happy to say yes to this. I do love this film a lot. I actually don't mind the sequel that much either.
No, the sequel is really good as well. But Dylan, what do you say about the best exotic Marigold hotel?
I haven't seen this. It's actually nominated for Best Picture at the Golden Globes, so like I plan on seeing it soon because I would like to see it because I've heard good things from both of you and it sounds interesting. But it's a no for now because I haven't seen it.
And Jordan, what do you say about the best exotic Marigold hotel?
Well, I've said it once, and I got to say it again. This is not a Jordan movie. It's just not really my type of movie. Just seems slow and maybe not a lot of action and things happening. Just way too slow for my pace. I mean, I do love a slow burn movie. Don't get me wrong, but this one just doesn't hit my radar. Like I ranked 65 movies. This one didn't even. I was not even on my 65. So yeah, I gotta say no.
Yeah. But with that, Zach, what is the next movie you're going to bring up?
So, like Dylan's last pick, I'm going with a comedy, and it's more of like the popular comedy, and I just like it because of how ridiculous it is, and that is 21 Jump Street.
Yeah.
I love the cast. I love the different situations they're in. This basically made Channing Tatum kind of like a movie star from what I heard. So it's just like it's a fun, enjoyable movie. And so that is my nomination.
Chris, what do you say about 21 Jump Street?
I sacrificed Ted for this. I love 21 Jump Street. I love Christopher Lloyd Miller. I love this movie. It's one of my personal favorites. I love the sequel as well. I laughed my ass off so much when I started to see it with my dad for the first time. Never watched the show, but we laughed so hard throughout the film. And Johnny Depp cameo is so good in it. I love Ice Cube and his play captain. Korean Jesus, the whole church dance to quote that so much, the whole sequence. Love the director. Can't wait to see what they do next. They've been on a great role directing and producing stuff.
But Dylan, what do you say about 21 Jump Street?
Yeah, I really like this one. I do like Ted a little bit more, obviously, because I mentioned it, but I would put this also at the top for comedies in 2012. I think it's really, really funny. Phil Lord, Christopher Miller, great, as Chris mentioned. Yeah, they're doing a lot of great work in animation now, like with the Lego movie, and they also produce Spider-Verse, so, like, I'm excited to see what they're branching off into, but this was just such a great start for them that really put them on the map, and I really enjoy this one. I actually haven't seen the sequel very much. I've seen it once, and I owe that a rewatch, but the first one still very prominent in my brain. I love all those little bits. Just hilarious little gags throughout. I'm also a huge Brie Larson fan, and she was great in this. This kind of made her a bigger star as well after Scott Pilgrim. So, yeah, it's definitely a yes for me.
Jordan, what do you say about 21 Jump Street?
Yeah, 21 Jump Street's awesome. Like, it definitely makes my list, and this movie's so funny. Like, it was one of the movies that really put Channing Tatum more on my radar for me as like a really great actor that can be very versatile. He can do comedy, he can do drama, he can do a lot of different things, and so yeah, I had a lot of fun. This movie really surprised me, and especially the scene with Rob Riggle where they're doing all the drugs and they're like shifting into different like in and out of reality. He's like, close your mouth. What are you doing? That's really freaking me out. And then they're having to like put their fingers in each other's mouth to try and make each other throw up the drugs. Like, you're fingering my mouth, like all this stuff. Yeah, it's just so good. And yeah, the sequel's great too. Like, I actually even like the sequel a little better, but even so, like, I'd say definitely yes for 21 Jump Street. Absolutely.
Yeah, this is one I probably would have given a slight no to. Just because, like, this is one that for the longest time I hadn't seen. Everyone kept on hyping it up, and going, "Oh, it's one of the best movies of all time. It's definitely up there." So eventually, I watched it. It's fine. I might I might try and rewatch it again at some stage. Just see if I get more enjoyment now that the hype sort of died down for it. Because I don't actually hear many people talking about it anymore. To be honest, and see if that changes my perspective on it. Because sometimes hype does kill a movie at times. Sometimes it just doesn't. It's why I always try to go into movies with low expectations, because if I go in there expecting A-class movie and I don't get it, I'm going to be disappointed. But Zach, what would you have said about 21 Jump Street?
He the one that.
Yeah, I was the one that nominated it.
The one that nominated,
yeah. Of course you did.
Yeah.
I mean, I say yes.
Yes. He says yes again.
But regardless, 21 Jump Street makes this list. Chris, what is your next nomination?
So we have comedy, we have sci-fi, we have action, and we have anime. I turn between two coming age movies. I do go with the one that personally I love and hit me the most. It was a movie I was a second pick because originally back after I think November when I was supposed to see Lincoln and it was sold out. So me and my mom were like, "What to see?" Oh, we picked this movie. The Perfect Being Warfare. This is a movie I went in with not knowing anything about the material, not knowing based on the cast alone, and I love it every moment of this film. I think it's a great comedic movie. I think it's full of terrific performance for Logan Lerman, Edward Miller, and Watson. Like Paul Walsh is really good in a small role, and it's just like it's something you invest in, and that the twist hit you heartbreakingly a lot when you realize what truly troubling Logan Lerman and his past, and it's a little bit heartbreaking. But it gives you hope. It gives you a great walking hard picture show sequence in the middle of the movie, and I love it. And tell you what you read about Edward Miller, about the director. Yeah, the director did Dan Hansen, but he did two wonderful films before with Wonder and now and this. I love Perfect Being Warfare. You never seen it, I do recommend. I do own it on DVD. The other coming age movie might come up later, but I want to be one of my personal favorite ones.
Yeah.
Dylan, what do you say about Perfect Being Wallflower?
Yeah, this would have been the one I was just about to mention, so Chris did it for me. Yeah, it's a really, really great film. It's one that was incredibly helpful and personal to me growing up. When it came out, I was 14, so I just started high school, and I was, like very anxious, outsider type kid, theater kid, didn't have a ton of friends, and this one really kind of gave me a lot more comfort just in my own personal experiences growing up with anxiety, and just it really is such a beautiful film. It's very low key compared to some of your Avengers and Django's and some of these bigger blockbusters or bigger directors. But there's something nice about just a really sweet little indie kind of serio comedy that just really just hits the heartstrings. Really emotional, but really great cast. Some really funny bits, like Chris mentioned. The Rocky Horror Picture Show sequence is so good. Great soundtrack. Just a really, really tight, great movie. Start to finish, just everything about it just really resonated with me. So I'm an astounding yes for this.
Jordan, I know you just watched this recently. What do you think about the
Yeah. Yeah, so I was very late to the party for the Perks of Being a Wallflower. I actually watched it this morning in preparation for this. I wanted to pick one that I hadn't seen from the list. I tried to get to two, but I had a busy day. So, but I did watch this one, and I freaking love this movie. Like, it was really, really great. It just hit on a lot of like things that really resonated with me growing up in when I was in high school. And say what you want about Ezra Miller, like, man. It's just really sad what he's going through now. I feel like he's really dealing with some pretty big mental things, I would say. But in this movie, like, he's great. Like, I do love him as an actor. But it's a really great story. Like, some of the things that you learn at the end, I won't spoil it, but like, I actually did like all of that. And also too, it's a very someone that I've actually experienced almost exactly. One of the things that he went through where he's dating the one girl that he likes enough to date her, but then she starts becoming more and more annoying. He doesn't really want to hurt her feelings, and so he just keeps on dating her, and like kind of wishes that the relationship would just end. I've been in that exact same place where I'm like dating someone. I'm like, this girl's really annoying. I kind of like her, not really all that much, but the more and more that I'm with her, like, I just really wish it would end, and I don't really know how to break this thing off because I like this other girl even more. So yeah, so that really resonated with me. And the Perks of Being a Wallflower made my list at number 13. So I always give the benefit of a doubt to those borderline movies. So I'm gonna say yes to Perks of Being a Wallflower. Yeah.
Say what you wanted about Ezra Miller. I would argue Perks of Being a Wallflower is the only good movie only good performance he's done in a movie. Because I didn't really care for his credence in the Fantastic Beasts movie, and
Yeah.
Grant Gustin is a better Flash than he was.
Thank you for funny thing back in his small role.
But that being said, I do really enjoy Perks of Being a Wallflower. It's such a great movie. So yeah, I'm easily saying yes to this. Zach, what do you say about Perks of Being a Wallflower?
It's funny because this was another movie that was actually on my list that I might have brought up later, but for me it's a yes based on everything that everyone has said. So just keep it short and sweet, and yes.
Dylan, what is the next movie you're going to bring up?
So this one was pretty high on my list, but I was like putting it off just because, it's one of the more high profile films of that year. But I was like, you know what? Now seems like a good time to do it. My favorite quote of 2012, it's very simple. It's 2 words. It's Argo, fuck yourself. My next pick is Argo. It is the Best Picture winner of 2012. Some people say it's a little overrated. I think just when a film wins Best Picture, ultimately, like if you were rooting for another film, all of a sudden the winner becomes a little bit more overrated. But I remember really liking it before it won the Oscar. A lot of people really liking it, and it wasn't until it won the Oscar that some people soured on it. But I get it's not for everyone, but I really loved it just as someone who's into like these higher intensity thrillers, trying to sneak this group of hostages out of a country. making all these fake passports and making a fake camera crew, film crew to go in for location scouting to rescue these hostages. It was just such an exciting but very tense and scary movie all at once, because I didn't know, I was a 14-year-old when I saw this. I didn't know all the history of the time when this actually happened, so I didn't know anything about this. I didn't know whether they succeeded in their mission, so I think that made it all the more impactful for me. It was just really, really well done. Ben Affleck, it wins Best Picture, but he doesn't get nominated for Director, and that started a trend where some Best Picture winners were not nominated for Director. Most recently, Coda, which won. But I think I think he deserved a nomination because I think he did do a really good job, building that intensity and the suspense in different moments. It's just a really, really solidly entertaining movie through and through. It wasn't my personal pick for Best Picture that year, but I've already said my two. But this one is still a really, really good film, and I'm happy to nominate Argo as my pick.
Yeah, just respond to Stephen. We've got 4 spots left, and also we don't talk about Kevin here. No.
No, definitely not.
Also, I actually haven't seen we need to talk about Kevin, but
a good performance for Ezra Miller.
It also didn't come out in 2012, so
he is very good in it, Ezra Miller, though. That one I can attest.
Yeah.
But Jordan, what do you say about Argo?
Well, I've seen Argo, and I think that it's good. Like, I will recognize that it's a really, really well made movie that definitely deserved to be nominated for Best Picture. And I think Ben Affleck probably deserved to be nominated for Best Director, but he didn't get that. So, but for me, it just doesn't really rank as high on my list. It probably ranks somewhere in the 20s for me if I were to do an overall ranking. So not quite up there. So I probably have to say no for Argo.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those movies which I kind of watched out of curiosity because I heard all the commotion about this getting Best Picture while Affleck was snubbed. So I thought, I'll watch it. It actually is a really good movie. This is an easy yes for me. I think it's great, and this is one of those movies which I actually do agree that Ben Affleck should have been nominated for Best Director for. But yeah, because I mean, there's been some movies that have been with 4 letters that have been nominated for Best Picture that didn't get Best Director. One of them that was out this year, but there's some cases I kind of agree because Dune is one of those ones I don't have an issue with Denis not being nominated for Best Director because it is more of a technical movie in my opinion, and it's I don't know, and it's more those technical side of things which I think was more impressive than the actual directing of the performances. If that makes any sense. But from that same year, Coda, which is another 4-letter movie, I think that should have been nominated for Best Director. That is one that I don't get why it was nominated. But that being said, I do not know who are knocked out of that category to get Sean held it in. But Zach, what do you say about Argo?
So this is actually was when I was thinking of this list was one of the top ones to put on there. So to me, it's a definite yes. I actually just watched it, I think, a couple of years ago for the first time, and I was thoroughly engaged the entire time. So for me, it's a yes.
Chris, what do you say about Argo?
So is it making the list or is it omni?
It is making the list.
We have now. Originally, we have first spot. Yeah, I would have maybe gave a slight no. I think because we have dramatic film already on the list with Life of Pi. I don't want to give variety of movies on here that don't. But I do love Argo. I do love it. I remember seeing it when I was in college. I loved the film. It's quotable. It's funny. It's interesting, true story. It just. It was mentioned earlier, but I said, yeah, we're cutting down to a final 3, and now we're trying to figure out what to bring up.
But Jordan, what is your next nomination?
Well, this is tough because I'm looking at my list. I got about 6 I think that deserve to be here, so I got to be a little picky. But just probably go for some that are at the top. One of the ones that's at the top, and I'm curious to see what people think, because I'm really, really high. This is a movie that I always like to introduce to people because I love this movie. It's a found footage movie, but I think that it's my favorite found footage movie of all time. I want to go for the Josh Trank movie Chronicle. So this movie is freaking great. If you have not seen this movie, do yourself a favor and go check it out. I'm a little sad about what happened to Josh Trank with the Fantastic Four. I don't know, like when he'll be directing it, any other movies, but you have Dane DeHaan, which just really turned me on to Dane DeHaan as an actor. Like, he is really, really solid. So, and then you have Michael B. Jordan. You have Alex Russell playing the third friend. But basically, these 3 friends that. They're at a party and they find this giant hole in the ground, and they go down it, and there's some kind of alien kind of glowing stuff in the ground. They kind of touch it a little bit, or they're exposed to it or whatever, and then they develop these like telekinesis powers where they can move things with their mind, which eventually leads to moving themselves with their mind, and they're able to fly. And you see how they develop these powers over time, and it's a really kind of if superpowers were to ever be a real thing, this is like the closest, I think, to reality that you can make it. Like, it's just like them getting these powers from some kind of alien thing in the ground, and you see some really wild and really crazy things. You see Dane DeHaan's slow descent into becoming more of a villain, and then you see Alex Russell being the kind of hero, and they have a cool battle at the end. And then also you throw Michael B. Jordan in there, and he's just a fun best friend. You just see him going around having some fun shenanigans and stuff. You also see something with like abuse. You see Dane DeHaan, why he becomes kind of the way he is, because his dad's always beating on him all the time. And then at the end, they kind of hint to like the possibility that maybe there could be a possible sequel. Like, I'd be totally down for a Chronicle 2. So I'm going to shoot my shot for Chronicle, because it is a number 3 movie overall on my list, because I love this movie. So yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen Chronicle.
Gotta see it. It's good.
And honestly, what Josh Trank did with Fantastic Four put me off wanting to watch another movie that he directed, because Fan Four
came out long before that, so I'll just say that.
Well, yeah, that's true, but it didn't make me want to go back and watch his first movie that he's known for, because he's only done 3 movies, and his most recent one's 2020, which was the Capone one, which I don't know much about.
Yeah, with Tom Hardy,
not worth watching.
But Zach, what do you say about Chronicle?
So I've only seen this movie once, and I think it was when it came out. And to me, it's not as memorable for me, because I don't really remember it until I looked at what movies came out this year. So for me, it's going to be a no.
Okay.
Chris, what do you say about Chronicle?
I love Chronicle. I do. I haven't seen it in a while. I think one of my favorites found footage type film. I do love the acting, especially Dane DeHaan. Man, very happy with this end. And a very great introduction to Michael B. Jordan. We're down to a bottom, like a final 3. I love it, but it wouldn't be my top 12.
All right.
And Dylan, what would you say about Chronicle?
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I'm not a particularly big Max Landis fan. I don't know who is, but so I don't really. I haven't watched it, but I want to get into it because I know people really like it. But yeah, I haven't seen it.
I think the biggest Max Landis fan I know is Max Landis himself.
yeah, he got some crazy ideas like in his head. Yeah. But go see Chronicle because it is freaking great if you haven't seen it.
Wasn't Max Landis the one responsible for which Gods and Kings or something like that?
I don't know. He wrote
Bright.
I know that. The one with I forget what Bright.
And
was.
American. definitely.
Yeah, American
Um,
Ultra. He wrote that. Yeah.
But anyway, I don't know. I'm gonna try for a musical.
Oh,
And I know at least one person that will probably say no to this, but I don't care. I really
No
do
wonder.
love what they. I really do love what they did with Les Mis. And I think this is a great musical. And it's one of those ones like, I love Hugh Jackman as Javier. I know Russell Crowe gets a lot of flack for his performance as Hugh Jackman is great as John Valjean. And Russell Crowe does get a lot of flack for Javier, but I think he was good in it. Like he's known for like when he's not acting, he's in a band called 30 Odd for the Grunt, so he does
Oh, wow.
have singing experience. So
I didn't know that.
but I really love Les Mis. I don't know who else does, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. Zach, what do you say about Les Mis?
So it's funny because I'm mixed about it because I think there are some good performances in it, and I like the aspect of, and everybody knows this, that it was actually sung live and not pre-recorded. So I like that, and I do like some of the songs, but there's actually another musical that came out the same year that I like more. So for me, I'm going to give it a no.
Chris, even as I don't think I have to ask, what do you say about Les Mis?
oh, where to begin with this? I think the movie is good, not great. I think my feeling for it have wavered over the year upon rewatch, especially after seeing Les Mis so many times broadly and then like different production. I think Russell Crowe is badly miscast in the film. I think, and I want to debate about this. He does focus more on the singing than the acting, and Javert is such a great character that he does not get Javert the right way. I think Hugh Jackman great. I do think and has very really good too. Eddie Redmayne is great. It's Samantha Bart great. The aspect I do love, but the stuff that take me away from it, and I really think they really did a bad job trying to put both the book and the musical into one film because they had a lot of stuff from the book and did not match well. I think a good movie, not a great movie. I think also what Tom Hooper did with Cats really hurt my feelings toward Les Mis. I think I don't like his foot shot on probably watching Les Mis. I like to see the background of everything going on. But I do think the performances are good. I think the moments are great. It's a good movie. I'm not going to hate a Les Mis bandwagon because I think they are redeeming quality. I think Hugh Jackman has give performances that were Oscar worthy. And the rest of the category, Eddie Redmayne is sentimental about anything, I would take them. And Sacha Baron Cohen and Helen Bonham Carter. It just wasn't for the big elf in the room that really hurt my feeling every time we watched the movie. As a fan of the Broadway musical and as a fan of the book. So no for me, sadly.
Dylan, what do you say about Les Mis?
Malcolm, you have found another person that loves Les Mis because I love Les Mis. I love the source material. I love the musical. And I think going into this movie, I think it's very hard to capture everything it has going on, and yet they were able to. I get some of the close-ups don't always work all the time, but when they do, they really do. Like the close-up on Anne Hathaway when she's singing her song, it's what got her that Oscar because you can see every little wrinkle in her forehead, every single movement of her mouth when she's singing. Like you can just feel it, emanating in through her performance with that close-up. Some close-ups don't work as well. One Day More, one of the hardest musical songs to film because it's supposed to be different people in different locations all on stage. How do you capture that with film? I think they did it the best they could. Is it better than the musical itself? Absolutely not. But I do think this was a really, really strong swing, and I think Tom Hooper has really dropped the ball in a lot of other places, but I think here's a place where he does it well. I just remember seeing it in theaters like 3 or 4 times when it came out. I was me and all my theater friends going to see Les Mis, and I just remember that first shot where the ship comes out of the water and it's that big booming score, the trumpets sounding like it's a really, really cool opening, and then just so many really interesting stagings of these different songs, and I really like it. I think the performances are good. I think Russell Crowe is the weak link. But even then, it's like I think because everyone else is more at a 9 and a 10, a 6 or a 7 feels bad in comparison. When if you put him with a less talented group of ensemble, I don't think he would stick out as much. I think it's only because he's so much weaker than everyone else around him. I don't think it's particularly bad. It's just, he's not a singer, but or not a singer in this sense. But I still don't mind it. I think he has a good presence as a character. So I would say yes. I really do think this is underrated. At the time it came out, people loved it, but I think it's soured over time. But I still really like this movie. So I would say yes.
But Jordan, I know you're not a musical guy. What do you say about Les Mis?
Oh man, Les Mis. No, like I don't want to like put anyone down for the movies that they like, but like Les Mis is, I hate this movie. I do not like it. It's singing from beginning to end. You start the movie out with singing, and this thing just doesn't let up. It's singing. Like you don't take a breath to like have anyone talk to like explain any of the story. You just explain it through song, and you expect everyone to just catch on. And you're singing about all the things that you're doing. Like I like some musicals, but when you're singing about like now we're marching to kill this guy. Now we're drinking. Now we're doing this. Now we're doing that. Like through song, and it just doesn't hit with me. Like it's just. And I've heard too that for people who are have seen the movie on Broadway, that it just doesn't live up to what it does on Broadway. So yeah, like it is not for me. Like this is the epitome of like not a Jordan movie. No, I can't stand this. Goes in my worst of 2012. So that's just me personally. So yeah, so no for Les Mis. So yeah. Sorry, guys.
Wow.
It's okay. It's okay.
But Zach, what is the next movie you're going to bring up?
It's funny because I'm in between two of them, so I'm going to go with the less well known, I guess, and that's Hotel Transylvania. I just think I just saw it, I believe, last year for the first time, and it's enjoyable, and you get to see the characters that just in a fun, entertaining, different way. So I'm going to recommend Hotel Transylvania.
Chris, what do you say about Hotel Transylvania?
No, we're talking about the other animation film that I'm going to bring up. That was not one of them. I think it's
I didn't think so.
A decent film. I think there are good laughs in it. The Twilight joke is funny. The Flea joke is funny. Like a couple of jokes that made me chuckle out loud. It's an established that I don't usually love. I think one of the better stuff, but I would say no. I think the storyline is okay. I think the thing about his wife is interesting and sympathetic. Just to add a Stella and his friend getting together in an animation film, and it does work for me a lot of time. I kind of do prefer some of the things for more, in all honesty. So no for me, Tyler.
Dylan, what do you say about Hotel Transylvania?
I haven't seen any of these movies. They're always, coming out with new ones every so often. So I keep wanting to go to watch them all, but I haven't done that yet. So it's a recommendation that I look forward to checking up on.
Jordan, what do you say about Hotel Transylvania?
Well, I think Hotel Transylvania is a lot of fun. Like I actually really do like it a lot. And I'm a huge defender of Adam Sandler and his entire crew. Like I love even some of the bad ones. I mean, he has some really bad. I'm not going to go say I like Jack and Jill or anything, but there are some though that I actually do really like that a lot of people don't like. I'm a defender even of the Ridiculous Six, as bad as that one is. I can defend it just a little bit. So, but for this one, with all the animation that came out in 2012, I was even thinking of another animated movie. So maybe me and Chris might be on the same page, but this wasn't the other one that I was thinking of. So it's probably going to be a no. But I do think the movie's good though. Like it's still a lot of fun. And I do kind of even prefer some of the sequels a little more also. So yeah, I'd probably would have to say no for this one.
But yeah, I just look there. I'm not mocking you. I just love the way you read it. Like, I'm in between two. I'm gonna go for the lesser known one, and as Steven said in the comments,
Yeah, right.
because,
Lesser known.
Yeah, no, the other one is definitely a lot more well known. So,
well, yeah, I
I
mean,
interested to know what the well-known one is now when they come back.
Yeah, we'll see.
I mean, it's one of those ones like I watched all the Hotel Transylvanias last year for the first time in preparation for the new one, and I mean I like it. I'm actually going to give it a slight no though because it's just fallen a little bit outside of where my sort of line to be able to say yes to was. But yeah, so I think that's mostly no votes. So I don't think it makes this list.
Yeah, I don't think
that's
so.
fine.
But no, it was more me talking to myself there, just trying to work out if I was right. But Chris, what is the next movie you're going to bring up?
So I'm going to go a little bit outside of, but I double checked to make sure they came out in 2012. Why did it relate to 2012? It went Indonesia in 2011, but I'm going to go with one one of my favorite action foreign film to be exact. And I'll return between that or the Americanized version. They're not based on it, but I had the same somewhere there. I'm going to go with the original content, The Raid Redemption. I double checked to make sure they came out in 2012. But this is amazing foreign language action sequence in one location itself, in the apartment building. It's great acting, really good story. Like so many more, like hand to hand, like amazing combat everything. I love the sequel though. Like I love the movie to death so much, and I do love all of the character and the craziness of it. So if we don't have a foreign film on this list, it has to be The Raid Redemption. And anybody bring up the American, the other one that almost take the thing on, would say yes to that too, but I have to bring up the what started it and did a little bit better. The Raid Redemption.
Yeah.
But yeah, like no one actually asked in the chat about but when it comes to movies released in X year, I always use a standard go by the American release date because that way everyone's on the same page of. So The Raid Redemption does count. It did come out in the States in 2012, just for anyone want to argue that. Dylan, what do you say about The Raid Redemption?
Yeah, when I was going through, I did it on Letterboxd, which is my mistake because Letterboxd always goes by the festival premiere, and it got its Toronto Film Festival premiere in 2011. But Chris is right. Yeah, it was a 2012 release in America and in Indonesia, where it was made. I like this film a lot. I think it obviously doesn't have the best story compared to some other films, but in terms of just the action and the style, like it's unmatched. There is nothing like The Raid, nothing like The Raid Redemption. So I'm gonna say yes. I wasn't thinking about it; it wasn't on my list, but only because I stupidly didn't look at the actual release date. But if I had, it would definitely be in my top 12 or 13. So I would have gone yes. So I'm gonna say yes.
Jordan, what do you say about The Raid Redemption?
I'm so glad that you brought this up, Chris, because I freaking love The Raid. Like it is like one of the best action movies ever made, in my opinion. I think that like the choreography is just so good, and like just this, just one fight scene after the next and nonstop through this apartment building, and it's a movie that I go back to all the time for like. For one of my favorite go-to action movies, like if you want to see action and action choreography done right, you watch The Raid Redemption. It's a movie that a lot of the other action movies actually kind of base all their action off of too. And yeah, this movie really surprised me. Like it's great. Actually did show up on our tournament fights for best movie set in one location. So yeah, I am gonna say yes for sure for The Raid. Yeah,
and definitely check out the sequel. The sequel is really good as well. Like
the sequel's almost better. Yeah,
best car chase in any movie in the sequel.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is one that I haven't got to. I've heard a lot about it. I just haven't got around to actually watching it. Zach, what do you say about the Raid Redemption?
It's funny because this is one movie that is actually on my list to see this year. There's several action movies that I haven't seen, and this is one on the top of my list. So I have to say no, but that's just because I haven't seen it yet, but I really want to.
But that being said, it doesn't matter because it's going to make this list regardless.
Happy we finally got foreign language movie on here.
Yeah.
But with that, we move over to Dylan for his next nomination.
Yes. So there's only 2 picks left, and I know it's going to be a lot of like nitpicking at this point. So I'm just going to go with my heart. This is on my top 10. It's not on a lot of people's top 10s. A lot of people pan this trilogy. This is the first of a trilogy. I love Lord of the Rings, and when the Hobbits came out, I didn't see them in theaters, and I know, Chris, I know, but I didn't see them in theaters, but I've watched them since. I've only actually seen the extended editions because, go big or go home. But I really enjoy them. The Hobbit and Unexpected Journey, I think it's a really solid franchise starter if you decide to watch it chronologically, kind of like prequels first, then Lord of the Rings. Like, it's really fun to watch. Obviously, it's more CGI than practical effect driven, which a lot of people have qualms about. But honestly, I think Peter Jackson does a really good job still honoring the world building, making it feel extravagant. And yes, some people say it shouldn't have been split up into 3 movies. I kind of agree. It's a smaller book. It doesn't need to be 3 movies, but I think they still make the best with what they have. They still relish in these different landscapes and different worlds and different characters. I love how it still keeps the nature of the the children's book aspect of like keeping the songs. The goblin sings a song, and the dwarves are fun, bumbling idiots when they first enter the Shire. Like it's very. It feels like a very honest interpretation of the book adaptation, while also feeling like it still belongs in the same universe as Lord of the Rings, which are a little bit more dark. My roommates and I love watching these movies, all 6 of them. I'm a defender of the 3 Hobbit movies. This is actually my favorite of the 3 Hobbit movies, also because it has a great Gollum scene. I think just fans of Gollum and that performance, it was a real treat to get a good chunk of time with him. That's why I do recommend the extendeds, because it doesn't feel like it's as choppily edited as some of the theatrical cuts, even though it doesn't need to be as long as it is. I think it's even smoother in the extended edition cut. I know it's gonna get a lot of flack. People have already given a lot of flack, but I really do like the Hobbit movies. Martin Freeman's amazing, so I'm gonna go Hobbit Unexpected Journey just as my go with my heart pick.
Nope, you gotta go with your heart. Nope.
Jordan, what do you say about Hobbit and an Unexpected Journey?
So I will say that's my favorite of the 3. So I think this is the best of the trilogy. But the movie for me just really went off the rails. Like, I just didn't really like it all that much. Like, I remember going to see it because I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan. Like almost all 3 movies make my top 20 movies of all time. Like, I love Lord of the Rings. So I went in with pretty high expectations, which may have been a bad thing to go so high, but because you already have these other movies on a pedestal, and so you're expecting something similar. But yeah, like, it just didn't really work for me. Just way too many dwarves, and like the Thorin, Glorn, Doran, Lauren, Florin. Like, I don't even know all their names. It just kind of gets jumbled to me. You have them singing, you have them acting goofy. And I know that's kind of how they were in the books a little bit. Like, I do love Martin Freeman's performance. That's probably my favorite thing of the whole trilogy. But yeah, like, I just wasn't a huge fan. Like, I remember walking out of that and I was like, well, that was good, that was fun, but it doesn't even hold a candle to any of the other Lord of the Rings movies. Not even close. It's miles behind it. So yeah, I gotta say no.
So, as a resident Peter Jackson in person, but
yeah, right.
But yeah, this actually was going to be my next pick, funny enough, because I do think this trilogy is really underrated. I mean, a lot of people do blame Peter Jackson for the fact it was 3 movies. He wasn't going to direct them. It was going to be Guillermo del Toro, but the studio forced them to make it 3 movies, and with I think Del Toro didn't want to do 3 movies. I think he was so happy doing it too. So Peter Jackson had to sort of jump into the sort of last minute. And I think like the first one is definitely a really good movie. It's definitely one of those ones that needs a lot of love because it definitely, like, out of all these movies, it definitely does a good job of setting up the Hobbit stories. It's been a while since I've actually read the book. I think this first movie is actually quite a good chunk of the original book, which is funny enough, as a lot of the rest of them is relying on sort of the inserts from the appendices and stuff, just to flesh it out, which I did enjoy as well. So yeah, I don't know how this is going to go, but I'm going to say yes. Make it interesting. Zach, what do you say about Hobbit: Unexpected Journey?
Dylan, you're going to get a yes from me because
Wow.
I also thought this was a solid movie that was, again, it built this world, and it felt at times like you were there. I love the performances and the story, and just it was an all around good time. So again, you're going to get a yes from me.
Chris, what do you say about the Hobbit and Unexpected
Chris is
Journey?
agonizing over there.
I know what keep me on my board now when we go to trouble. But I love the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I do. I tried to get to rewatch the Hobbit trilogy. I did get worse when we watched it for me. Like, I think you brought up the Gollum thing. It's really good. But also had to give it terrible CGI. The Goblin King face alone is like one of the most like disturbing things to look at in a Lord of the Rings Hobbit movie. I think that it love it too much pandering. It was trying to go into other stuff that doesn't have to do with the story, and it really feel at times uneven. I haven't watched any of the extended edition, but to me, I don't love any of the Hobbit movie. I think they're okay to really bad. I think Band of Fire Army easily the worst Hobbit movie out of any of them. I think Martin Freeman's good. I think Richard Armitage is really good as Sauron. And I think Ian McKellen, once again, is great. I think they either free to keep the Hobbit for being bad. And any trigger when he pop up. I just don't like this movie that much. And it got worse when we watched for me. I got bored rewatching them. And I did become a last day because I know Malcolm kept me off it. I hate anymore on the Hobbit stuff.
Yep. Bye bye, Chris.
But yeah, I can't wait to see the Poltermo.
Yeah, all right.
The Hobbit
I'll
and
defend it.
Unexpected Journey. The Hobbit and Unexpected Journey makes an unexpected appearance on this.
Yeah, right.
Um,
Good one, Mal.
Did it?
but for that, Jordan, do you have the movies that are going to take that last spot?
Yeah. Well, so the movie I really want to talk about, but it's like I know it's not going to make the list, so I kind of had to change it up last minute. There's one that I'll bring up in the honorable mentions when we get there, but there's a movie that I think could make the last spot. They're like I'm really really high on, and that's the movie Dread. So I want to nominate Dread just because this movie is just so much fun. Just like seeing Carl Urban in this role to just totally redeem the character of Judge Dredd and like just make it like a really badass, just awesome action movie. Actually, it takes a lot from the Raid. I feel like they're like in an apartment building. They're shooting up all these guys, but then also what they do with all the slow mo and using that as a drug when I saw this movie in 3D, and it's actually one of the 3D movies actually worked really, really well. I'm not a big 3D fan, but this one actually really worked. And then also seeing Olivia Thirlby, I think her name is, being one of the other judges, and like she was really badass too. And then also you have Lena Headey in there. Yeah, you have Domhnall Gleeson in there. Like it's a lot of fun. Like it's just like you go on this journey, and I've actually met Carl Urban in person. When I met him, I had not seen Dredd yet, and I felt kind of stupid for not seeing Dredd. It's like, how the frick have I not seen Dredd? And I'm meeting Carl Urban. So, but because I met him at a Comic-Con that I went to. But yeah, this movie it's just like so cool. You've been seeing him like on the motorcycle stuff. That's really cool. So yeah, I love this movie, and I think it deserves a spot. So we'll see what you guys think.
Dread is one of those movies that I watched recently for the first time. I didn't know what to expect from this when I saw it, but I really did enjoy it. I had no idea what this was about because I hadn't watched the Stallone movie from the 90s at all. It wasn't really that familiar with the comic, so but I really enjoyed it. I'm happily going to say yes to this. Zach, what do you say about Dredd?
I've seen it before, but to me, it's not a movie that really sticks with me. So I'm going to say no.
And Chris looks like he's in existential dread at the moment. Chris, what do you think about Dredd?
I love Dredd. I did bring up the Raid. I would have probably brought Dredd. That were the two I was struggling with. Choose which one I like more because they both had similar content to each other. But I think because we have Raid, and that is done that content a little bit better. They might didn't do one more big comment, but I had to say no because we have one spot left. But Dredd is definitely in my honorable mention. I love this film. I love the 3D. One of the best theater experiences I had at 2012 in terms of 2017. But Dylan, on you.
Yeah, Dylan, what do you say about Dredd?
I've never seen it, so it's not on me. I know this is a big blind spot for me, but yeah, I will get around to it. I was only 14 when it came out, so I wasn't because I wasn't at the theater seeing it, but I'm looking forward to watching it now, along with Looper, which is the other one I haven't seen. But I don't know if it makes the list or not because I don't know how it works. But
unfortunately, Dredd doesn't make the list.
I know. It makes me sad, but it's all right.
Yeah, sorry. I love Dredd. Don't get me wrong. We just had the Raid already on the list.
Yeah. Pretty similar to the Raid, yeah.
Yeah.
So there's one spot left. I've got at least 3 movies I want to try and get on here.
I have so many movies.
I'm going to try for one which I don't know how this is going to go because so I'm pretty sure one person's not going to like it because it's a drama and not sure, but I'm going to bring up Silver Linings Playbook. You've got David O. Russell directing. You've got Robert De Niro, Bradley Cooper, Jennifer Lawrence, and this is one of those movies which I really do love. It's a really good movie, and I think it's one of those heartwarming stories too. This is one of those ones I thought I wasn't going to like when I got in. But yeah, Silver Linings Playbook is what I've got on the board. Zach, what do you say about it?
While I do like the performances and I think it's a good story, it's not one that I am going to rewatch. It doesn't have that rewatchability factor. So to me, it's not one that's as memorable to some other people. So to me, it's going to be a no.
Chris, what do you say about Silver Linings Playbook?
One spot left, and I do love this movie. I do love this movie. I don't love the romance in it that much. I've been on a debate match about that before in the past. But I do love the performance. I do love Bradley Cooper in it, Jennifer Lawrence. I love Jack Weaver in it. I love Robert De Niro in it. I love everybody in the film. It made me laugh. It made me cry. I might have to get slight. We had down our last spot, and I want to try to get one more drama, different type of movie on the list. We had a lot of dramatic stuff on the list already.
Dylan, what do you say about Silver Linings Playbook?
Yeah, this is the only movie where I'll actually root for Eagles fans. I'm a Giants fan, so I don't like Eagles fans. But no, it's not that I don't like Eagles fans. I don't like when they are in their Eagles mode. But it's a really, really great movie, great comedy, great drama. It's the one that got Jennifer Lawrence her Oscar after only being on the scene for a few years. Really breakout year for her with another film that hasn't been mentioned. I don't know if it will. But yeah, she's the breakout star in it. But Bradley Cooper is also great. Like Chris said, Jackie Weaver, and then Robert De Niro. A really great cast. I haven't watched this one as much as some of the others, but it is my 12 on my list and my number 12 on my list. So I'm gonna honor it and say it's a yes from me because I do remember really liking it when I first saw it.
I hate on the Eagles, man. They helped rescue Frodo, Sam, and that from Mount Doom.
Yeah,
No,
right.
not those Eagles.
There you
Not
go.
those
Not
Eagles.
those ones. Quite.
Not the band either. The band is amazing. No, the Philadelphia
band's
Eagles. I should have specified.
Somewhere out there, Christy V's yelling at Dylan right now.
I make
Jordan,
exceptions sometimes.
Jordan, what do you say about Silverlining's Playbook?
On you.
Well, this might be one of the few times that I can root for the Eagles also because I'm not an Eagles fan. I'm a Seahawks fan, so from the Northwest. But yeah, yeah, like this movie is fine. Like I think that that's okay. I don't really love it or anything. We only have one spot left, but I do want to just just take a quick minute to just point out. So there's another movie that deals with some mental awareness stuff. Today is actually a National Autism Awareness Day, so I want to shout out that. So if you ever get a chance to like donate to any kind of autism fund, or if you know anyone that might have any type of mental awareness, I mean, just show them some love today. I am actually someone who's actually dealt with the being borderline on the autistic scale, so just a little insight there. But yeah. For this movie though, like I gotta say no because it's just it doesn't really rank very high on my list. It's fine, but yeah, I say no.
And if that Silverlining's Playbook doesn't make this list, Zach, what is the next movie you're going to bring up?
So remember how I said that Hotel Transylvania was the least popular movie? The more popular movie that I'm going to nominate is Dark Knight Rises.
Okay.
And with this movie, you get a solid villain in Bane. You get just more great character work from everybody involved with Batman and Commissioner Gordon and all of that. So the movie I'm going to nominate is The Dark Knight Rises.
Chris, what do you say about Dark Knight Rises?
Listen, I don't hate on this movie like a lot of people do. I think there are redeeming quality to this. That, like, I think Tom Hardy did, for the most part, a good performance. We can understand what he's saying. But I can't not nominate it. I think it's a good movie. It's my least favorite out of Dark Knight trilogy. I prefer Dark Knight and Batman Begins over there. But I think not my favorite comic book movie of the 2012, and it a movie I like, but I don't love. I think the thought that doesn't make sense really irritate you a lot when we watching it. And then the ending a little bit of cop out in some way. I don't love the Robin name thing. Yeah, I just had to say no. I had to go back and forth with this movie. I do like it. I don't hate it like some people I know. But it's known for me.
Dylan, what do you say about The Dark Knight Rises?
So this was another movie in my top 10. I love this trilogy. I think it is very seamlessly seen out from beginning to end in terms of the overall vision artistically. I think it's well thought out. I think, some inside production stuff, obviously Heath Ledger passing away means you can't bring the Joker back, and I get that. So like the villain was never going to live up to that. I think the issue with a lot of this movie and a lot of other movies that come after really great sequels is like if the last one was just that good, it's hard to top. And I think this one doesn't top The Dark Knight, but I don't think it has to. I think it's really good in its own right. And I think people sometimes, don't give it enough credit because it's not The Dark Knight. It's the inferior sequel, but I think it stands up pretty well to the one that came before it. Both the ones that came before it. I think Anne Hathaway is an incredible Catwoman. It's really crazy that like every Catwoman is basically the best Catwoman, and it's hard to compare because they're all really, really fantastic. Anne Hathaway, Michelle Pfeiffer, now Zoe Kravitz, Lee Merriweather, Eartha Kitt. You know, the Catwoman is just such an amazing role now because like every actress who's played it has nailed it. Really, really exciting action stuff in it. You know, not my favorite of the trilogy, but I think Christopher Nolan's worst is a lot of other directors' best. So I think that's something to take into account. So I'm going to give it a big yes. I really like this trilogy. I love this movie. I remember seeing it in theaters, really enjoying it. So I'm going to go yes. Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, I agree. Halle Berry really did nail the role of Catwoman.
I forgot to mention her.
Wah, wah.
You know, I'm just saying that.
I rescinded that comment.
But anyway, Jordan, what do you say about the Dark Knight Rises?
So yeah, I'm not a huge Dark Knight Rises fan. Like I love the Dark Knight and I love Batman Begins. Actually, Batman Begins is probably my favorite of the trilogy, but this one just really missed the mark for me. Like it just like it doesn't hold up the other two, and it's like that's the problem. Like I mean, you say that it doesn't really need to. Well, I mean. Either you're going to compare it to those or you're just going to take it as a standalone movie, but it's part of a trilogy. So, I mean, you want to end the trilogy strong. I just don't think you really ended it strong. So, I mean, I don't really compare it to 100%, but I'm just like, how are they going to end this thing? And I think they just really missed the mark. I think the movie's all over the place with all these different villains popping up out of nowhere. I didn't really like Bane, like the way that it was portrayed. Like he had like a really weird like voice and it just like threw me off a lot. And like, I think that it's fine. I mean, like, I don't hate it by any means. Like, it's no. Well, I put it like one of my worst live action Batman movies. It's not as bad as like say like a Batman and Robin. It's not that bad, but it's like still not that great to me. So I gotta say no.
But yeah, it falls, which means it falls on me.
I have a bad feeling with it. There you go.
And it's one of those. And when it comes to Dark Knight Rises and Nolan trilogy, like when it comes to any sequel, in particular, unless it's labeled as part 1 or 2, I always treat it as, do I enjoy it on its own, or is it one that I feel like I need to watch the other 2 movies in this trilogy to enjoy this one more? So that's the way when it comes to sequels, that's how I kind of judge them. Is like I always judge them on what's put in front of me. If it's a movie that I feel like I need to see the previous one, I may judge it a little bit more harshly. In that, as I said, I make the exception if it's labeled as part 1 and 2 because you know you're going to need to watch them both as in the one movie. And that's just the nature of that kind of story. But yeah, I actually do really like The Dark Knight Rises. I do have a hot take that I'm not a major fan of The Dark Knight because for a Batman movie, there's not a lot of Batman in The Dark Knight. It's more. I'm one of those ones that will say it's more of a Joker movie than a Batman movie. So I will put Dark Knight Rises over that, and I'm going to say yes because I actually do like The Dark Knight Rises. I do think it is a good movie from the 2012. So with that, it does close out the list.
I now have to rethink my number 12 now.
Yeah, right. I gotta grab my whiteboard real quick.
I have a lot of honorable mentions. I will say that.
Yeah, we'll be right back.
I was so wanting to get a horror movie onto this list.
Yeah, I've got a lot of honorable mentions too. Yeah. 20 years.
We'll go into honorable mentions before we get to the actual list. Chris, what are some honorable mentions that you had?
The horror movie I wanted to bring up, but we never got around to was Cabin in the Woods. I think that's one of my favorite horror movie of the decade. Horror comedy, but I love for introducing Chris and besides Dark Knight, it's what made Chris Evans more getting more people to see who he was. And Thor. But it was just a fun movie. I love the writing, I love the directing, I love everything about it. The Gray, also with a Bob Paranorman, Thinking We Need, Private Phantom Mister, The Master, Pitch Perfect. Fortunately, one of my favorite romantic comedy. I know some people don't love it. I love Defining Engagement a lot. Like I think a film I rewatch a lot. Lincoln I do like a lot. Probably my top 3 Wes Anderson films, Moonrise Kingdom. That is a film I do love. It that of turn between that perk for like coming of age. And everything else been said. Like we mentioned 10, we said no to that. That went on my list. But yeah.
Yeah, I made the mistake of thinking, oh yeah, Cabin in the Woods and Pitch Perfect for sure are going to come up at some stage. So I'm not going to bring them up. I'm going to focus on movies that I want to talk about. But yeah, Dylan, what are some honorable mentions that you had there?
Yeah, really high on my list was Moonrise Kingdom, as Chris said. I also like Bernie, the Linklater film. Came out festival-wise 2011, but wide release in 2012. Pitch Perfect. The Hunger Games, another good one because I was a teenager at the time. I love that one. Flight, the Denzel Washington film. Lincoln, Prometheus, Zero Dark 30. And then I did put as a guilty pleasure Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 2 because, again, I was of the age that enjoy those movies. So those are my honorable mentions.
Breaking Dawn Part 2, what I've got a yes from me. I will just say that.
Oh, really? Wow. Hot take.
Look, it's one of those ones. If the book, the book series themselves are not that good. I don't know why you would expect the movies to be different.
Yeah, right. They're going to not be good, and they weren't. In my opinion, that's just.
I really enjoy. And I know there's a few other people that really do enjoy the Twilight franchise. Like Kevin Poss is one of them. His wife is another. But Jordan,
I've been to Forks, Washington, so I'll shout out that because I live in the Northwest. But yeah. So for my honorable mention, so one of the ones that I really wanted to champion, but I didn't think it would make the list. I wanted to shout out John Carter because I actually do really, really love that movie. I think it's great. I just wasn't sure if anyone would really agree with me, so I kind of held off on it. Didn't want to waste my.
I'm gonna maybe said yes. We put up earlier. I do appreciate that.
Yeah. but yeah, that movie was really underrated from a director who just directed nothing but like Pixar movies, Andrew Stanton, and then he directed John Carter. Just a case that the movie was just really horribly marketed, I feel like, But anyways, a few other ones that I have. I had The Amazing Spider-Man, the first one on there. I had Goon with Sean William Scott on the list. I had End of Watch, the one with Michael Pena and Jake Gyllenhaal on there. I had The Bourne Legacy because even for a Bourne movie, I actually really enjoyed that one. I champion The Watch with Ben Stiller. Like I actually do and enjoy it. There's a little horror movie called the Possession that I really like with Jeffrey Dean Morgan in it. And then also the 5-Year Engagement because that was really true to life for a certain relationship that I had in the past. So yeah, those would be my honorable mentions.
Happy 5-Year Engagement. Love here. Same here.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to stick away to some that has already been talked about, like Cabin in the Woods, and that stuff is all there. For me, one of the ones that sort of ended up really high was Premium Rush, the movie with Joseph Gordon-Levitt in it.
Yeah. Love that.
I really like Tom Cruise's take on Jack Reacher. I think he was good in the role. I really enjoyed Rise of the Guardians. I thought Rise of the Guardians was a great animated movie. Rock of Ages is a musical I really like. I know it's one of those ones that a lot of people don't. One that a couple that I actually watched for the first time for this Hitchcock, the biopic with Anthony Hopkins playing Hitchcock was a really good movie. It just ultimately, when I made this list, it just fell to the middle of the pack. And another one which I really did like, and I probably will revisit at some stage, because maybe it'll go higher, is Ruby Sparks, Paul Dano rom-com in which like he imagines a girlfriend and starts writing about it and comes to life. It's definitely one of Paul Dano's best performances, better than his portrayals of Riddler for sure. But Zach, what are some honorable mentions that you had?
So I don't have as many as you guys, but like there were a few, and actually they've all been mentioned. Malcolm, when I told you that there was a musical that I had above Les Mis, it was Rock of Ages.
Oh, wow.
Not had that yet.
But also, I do really like Premium Rush. And then I forgot that Cabin in the Woods actually came out in 2012 because that's actually one of my favorite horror movies. So
Yeah, that one could have made the list, I think.
I want to challenge us that one time in trivia thing.
I think Cabin in the Woods is another one that it was out in the festival in 2011. I think it's definitely one of those ones.
Yeah, I remember seeing the theater by 2 weeks before seeing Avengers in college.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying it wasn't, but I was just saying it's one of those ones. I think.
Yeah, if we would have announced Cabin in the Woods earlier, I think it would have gotten in the top 12. So
you guys, you said I had to know to Dark Knight Rises. I would do bring up Cabin in the Woods next. That's all I was saying.
But anyway, what? And some that have been said in the chat. Steven says that he likes Dawn Part 2, so would have said no. Leo brought up Pitch Perfect. Brian brought up Parental Guidance, The Three Stooges, Madagascar 3, Frankenweenie Pirates, Band of Misfits.
I like Madagascar 3 and my Private Band.
For some reason, I rewatched Three Stooges for this. I hated it just as much as the first time I watched it. Leo also brought up Zero Dark 30, Lawless.
All looks good.
One I forgot came out, The Beast of the Southern Wild.
Also good.
And then Stephen has a whole bunch of them. But I think he was about to say Cloud Atlas at the end there.
Yeah.
Oh, that would have been for me.
Cloud Atlas, I forgot about that one. Yeah.
But if that being said, we're getting into the actual voting part of this. How the voting works is we're going to write down what we want at 12, 11, etc. And then with most votes, it's what makes that's what Zach. What do you have for 12?
do we have a list of the movies?
I've been putting them all in the private chat.
Oh, okay. Hold on. Yeah, I see them.
So while you're looking at it, I'll go to Chris first. Chris, what do you have at 12?
You know what I'm gonna say? This shouldn't have even made it like the Hobbit Unexpected Journey.
Dylan.
I had Skyfall.
Jordan.
I had Life of Pi.
I got Luca.
I might actually say Skyfall.
Oh!
Oh,
Ow!
you're killing me. Yeah.
But with that, Skyfall's going to be number 12.
Wow, that is horrible. You guys are out of your mind to put Skyfall that low. I'm sorry. The best James Bond movie ever made. Come on.
Haven't seen it since it came out.
Oh man.
Man, people did
Well,
kill
you
us.
have seen it though, right?
Well, it's one of those ones when I put the polls up, no one really knows what's placing they came on the show unless they actually watched the show.
Okay, because I was gonna say,
Dark Knight Rises.
if they see it that low, people will flip out probably in the chat. But
Dylan, what do you have at 11?
And Looper.
Jordan, what do you have at 11?
What's the Life of Pi? For me,
I've got Looper. Zach.
I put Perks.
And Chris.
Come on, Hobbit. They ain't Lupin worth it. Hobbit.
yeah.
Looper is going to be 11.
Ooh, okay.
Oh my god. This Suicide Squad all over again. I thought for sure either one of you guys would have meant to Dark Knight Rises or the Hobbit.
Jordan, what do you have for not a 10?
I still have Life of Pi right there, so there you go.
Just a minute. I almost forgot to actually write something down. I put 21 Jump Street. Zach,
I put Wreck-It Ralph.
Chris,
Hobbit.
Dylan.
We're going for a 5-way tie. The Raid Redemption.
So we're at a 5-way tie. The first comment I see on the YouTube comments. will
Comment, do the
back
right
up.
thing here.
So just to
Right thing.
remind it, we've got Hobbit Unexpected Journey, 21 Jump Street, Raid Redemption, Life of Pi. What did you say, Zach?
Wreck-It Ralph.
And Wreck-It Ralph. The first comment I see, that's not the
Chad,
probably
come on.
Chad,
You know, I haven't watched all the James Bond movies. You know, I don't have an affinity for the Bond franchise.
But that being
My
said,
personal taste.
Chris is going to get his way because both Leo and Chad both said the Hobbit.
That's fine.
Thank
I'm
you,
surprised
guys.
I made it all the way to 10. I'm surprised I made it on the list.
Yeah.
Okay, going with the other one.
It's a good movie. That's what made on the list.
Yeah.
Going with the other one that should not be on this list.
Zach, what do you have for 9?
Django.
Chris,
The Dark Knight Rises. Okay, where is it? We put that.
and Dylan,
I'm sticking with the Raid.
Jordan,
Let's stick with the Life of Pi.
Okay, let's be right
another
back.
5-way
Another 5-way tie.
tie. 21
No,
Jump Street.
that's funny.
Okay.
So we've got 21 Jump Street, Django, Dark Knight Rises, Life of Pi, and Raid Redemption. The first comment I see will be the first one. They'll put it in 9. And the first comment I see is Chad, and it's going to be Dark Knight Rises.
Thank you, Chad.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Oh, now I'm trying about what to pick next because I love the rest of this list. Oh, I did get the controversy here. Let's over there. And my reason why.
Chris, what do you have for 8?
That because the middle half dragged when they on the helicarrier of the Avengers. I don't think the Democracy.
Ooh, number 8?
Dylan.
Ooh, man.
I almost said that, but I thought it would be much higher on everyone's list, so I put the Raid Redemption.
Jordan.
Well, I switched it up because no one's really agreeing with me, so I'm going to go Argo.
I put 21 Jump Street. And Zach.
Oh,
The Raid
all
Redemption.
right.
Oh my!
Sad.
Oh,
Sad. All right.
that's because a lot of people haven't seen the rate.
And to reiterate, this is a good list, so like anything that places here is still good. It's still
Yeah, right.
out of like
Yeah.
40, this is 12 is high. That's
You're going to hate
I
to
was
see
like,
almost anything go.
I
Yeah.
don't feel bad that Skyfall number 12. I don't know why.
Yeah. I do
I
feel
haven't seen
genuinely
it in
bad
so
about
long.
that.
It was the most unfamiliar with it. So.
Oh.
Thank you, Chad.
But Dylan, what do you have for 7?
This is where I'm going to put the Avengers. I like the other ones more.
Jordan.
I'm going to stick with Argo for now.
Sticking with 21 Jump Street. Zach.
Was this already mentioned? I forget. It's
Not yet. No.
Not yet.
Django.
Chris.
Avengers right where it should be, just because the middle half the Avengers.
All right.
Everything outside the helicarrier, I think the helicarrier stuff is so long and
There goes my number 1 right there.
Yeah, my number 1 were number 8. I would have 8. My.
But yeah, fun fact: the Avengers is actually number 8 on my personal list.
Okay.
What should I go with next?
But Jordan, what do you have for 6?
I'm gonna stick with Argo. So.
I'm sticking with 21 Jump Street. Zach,
And I'm sticking with Django.
Chris,
I might be on the same with Zach. I just think the Quentin Tarantino bit really hurt the film. Django.
Dylan.
I said Life of Pi, so Django is taking the swing.
Man,
That's
maybe
my
I should have
number
switched
1.
back into Life of Pi. Yeah.
You found the Quentin Tarantino Australian bit, the film would have been great all the way to the end.
All right.
I hate choosing stuff.
And this is fun.
But yeah, if you want fun, watch the bonus episode of Rankin where me and Austin make all the segments in movie 43.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's pretty good. Even though I hate that movie, it was still fun.
Hey, I was looking for an excuse to do it as an option. I know there's limited people that really would have done it with me.
Yeah, right.
I was like, well, I'm going to do it as an April Fool's Day joke. I spent ages trying to figure out the perfect title that worked in the initials AF into it, because normally I wouldn't do that as a title for anything.
Yeah.
But it's like, but yeah, for 5, I've still got 21 Jump Street. Zach,
Argo.
Chris,
Yeah, I'll go.
Dylan.
I stuck with Life of Pi.
Well, I switched back to Life of Pi. So
Oh, we got a tie.
Yep. I'm the only one that didn't go either one of those.
Sorry, Chad.
I
I didn't want Django at 6 either.
Yeah.
I love Django, that Quentin Tarantino bit.
But yeah, I'm going to go. One of these I've seen, one of these I haven't. I'm going to go for the one I haven't seen, which is Life of Pi.
Oh.
Life of Pi. All right. Man, I'm shocked. Some of these are going so high.
So
on the list.
what's left? Wreck-It Ralph, 21 Jump Street, Perks. and
I
Argo?
was just about to get to that. So what we have left is Wreck-It Ralph, 21 Jump Street, Perks of Being a Wallflower, and Argo.
Man.
I will say, happy we did a spoiled the ending of Life of Pi to Malcolm straight to go and not knowing the rest of the lady.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm one of those people that don't care about spoilers. Like,
Okay.
I will look stuff up online if I know I'm not going to be able to see the movie in ages, because
Nice.
I just don't care, because I still find a way to. They don't ruin my enjoyment of the movie. But Chris, what do you have that for?
I can't put it any higher. I'll go.
Dylan,
21 Jump Street. I just like the other 3 more.
Jordan,
I have Argo.
21 Jump Street.
Ooh,
Zach,
Zach.
Argo.
There we go.
Argo is
Argo, fuck yourself.
My top.
Okay.
So what is left of the 3?
Wreck-It Ralph, 21 Jump Street, and Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Oh, fuck.
Sorry, Fuck wasn't released in 2012.
Yeah, sorry.
Unless
And-
it
Not
came
an
after
option.
Argo.
Yeah.
And
It's a
I'm
sequel to
actually
Argo.
not kidding. There actually was a movie called Fuck.
Was it a porno?
It was a no, it was a documentary.
Okay.
Yeah. So the Fuck documentary it's done by director Steve Anderson. It's all about the word fuck.
Yeah.
And like it's an integral part of discussion about freedom of speech and censorship and that. And
I mean, it's funny
but
because I've actually seen like the Netflix show that's the history of swear words.
Yeah.
with
You're gonna
Nicolas
bring that up.
Cage.
Yeah,
I
that
do
was
have to
awesome.
say
Nicolas
also-
Cage talking about that.
Forgot to
So
mention
good.
the honorable mention Seven Psychopaths. That's
Yeah.
new actor missing something.
Yeah, it came out in 2005, but it does strangely enough have a big cast because you've got like Drew Carey, Janine Garofalo, Ice-T, Juan Jeremy, Bull Maher,
Oh wow.
Kevin Smith, Alanis Morissette of all people, Hunter S. Thompson, all talking about the food fact.
And they don't have Samuel Jackson on that list. Come on, you got to get him. He's the
Well,
ultimate.
there's only a small amount of the list.
Yeah.
So
True.
then, but yeah, I might actually try and track that down again. But anyway, we kind of sidetracked again.
Yeah.
But Chris, what do you have at
Number 3.
3?
It hurt me, but the other two are high on my list on Wreck-It Ralph.
Dylan,
21 Jump Street.
Jordan,
I got to go with Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah.
21 Jump Street. Zach,
The tiebreaker again.
Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Oh wow.
So yeah, you're still going to be the tiebreaker in this situation. 21 Jump Street, or Wreck-It Ralph at number 3.
I'm gonna say Wreck-It Ralph.
Ooh, there you go.
All 3 of them are great, but just like, which one do I love more?
And this time, instead of putting down your number 2, we're going straight to number 1.
All right.
The amount of time
So we're
I
writing
have
down our number 1 pick.
Yeah, and it's either Wreck-It Ralph or 21 Jump Street.
Isn't it
I want to put.
Perks or 21?
No, yeah, Perks. Or
Yeah, I was about to correct myself when I realised.
Yeah.
I just finished typing out number 3, which I was Wreck-It Ralph. Yeah, it's Perks being.
I just want to say I would never put either of these at number 1, but that's just me.
But both of them my own.
Yeah. But it's fine though. I like both of these movies.
But Zach, what do you have for number 1?
21 Jump Street.
Chris, what do you have for number 1?
One of my favorite coming of age movie and one that I love every time we watch it. Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Dylan, what do you have at number 1?
Come on, Eileen. I have Perks of Being a Wallflower.
The great song, yeah.
Jordan.
I have 21 Jump Street, but I
Ooh,
think I know where
comes
it's
out of
going.
Malcolm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it shouldn't be a surprise because I've been trying to get 21
Yeah,
Jump Street lower the last few times. Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Well, I'm glad I watched it before this since it was number 1. I saw it for the first time this morning. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Let me find my DVD of it. It's in my
Yeah.
Just to
Yeah, besides the 2 movies that I don't like, they were pretty good list.
Yeah.
Just to recap, our top 12 movies of 2012. Some may shock people, but at 12 we've got Skyfall. At 11 we've got Looper. At 10 we've got The Hobbit and An Unexpected Journey. At 9 we've got The Dark Knight Rises. At 8 we've got The Raid Redemption. At 7 we've got Marvel's The Avengers. At 6 we've got Django Unchained. At 5 we've got Life of Pi. At 4 we've got Argo. At 3 we've got Wreck-It Ralph. At 2 we've got 21 Jump Street. And number 1 we've got Perks of Being a Wallflower.
Yeah, there you go.
Good list. Good list.
Yeah. Solid list.
And the funny thing is, if we were deciding the Academy Awards for Best Picture, Dark Knight Rises and The Hobbit and Unexpected Journey would make that 10.
Yeah. Oh, man.
But Chad also predicted number 1 spot it there as well. But
Nice.
I thought he said The Raid was the best. It's okay.
The Raid was
but,
my
I mean,
number one for
but
that.
other ones we had. But,
Gotcha.
Wasn't
But,
Chad pretty near the top 2 for the what you were doing over on Facebook? All the franchises. He was pretty near the top for that too, right?
Yeah.
But in saying that, that brings us to the end of another episode of Rankum. Next week, as I said on the thing, Kevin Poss won the prediction competition for the tournament bracket I did, so he got to choose the next topic, and the topic he chose was top. What
Nice.
I don't even know if the banner's up.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's not showing on my end, which is weird. But anyway, the topic is top.
Oh.
Here it is. It's top shelf quotes from the Wizarding World franchise.
Nice.
So that should be a really interesting topic. I've not done quotes one before, so and I'm going to be the one having to write down the banners and stuff. So, but with that being said, Zach, where can people find you online?
On Twitter, I go by MovieZFan89. So just everybody check me out there. And I'm also part of TMG Trivia and Untitled Trivia. So I'm just everywhere.
Nice.
Chris, where can people find you online?
You can find me anywhere. Facebook, Twitter. I got a few matches that I've done already. One MCU. I did actually really well with Chad and his brother's thing. And then I have a debate I just shot yesterday. Before to it, I really went on a huge rant and a lot. Yeah. I won't say the outcome, but it was a fun one. And then anywhere else. Like, you can find me anywhere. I got a bunch of trivia things being shot pretty soon. It'll be a fun year this year. All I was saying.
I just love Stephen looking at the bright side of life about next week's topic. This is a topic he doesn't have interest in, but it's good because he's not available next Sunday anyway.
Okay, yeah. Not available, and that's a good time. Yeah.
Dylan, where can people find you online?
Hey, you can find me on my channel, the Dill Pickle Movie Network. That's Dill with DYL, like my name, not like the spice that you season pickles with. Yeah, I do a lot of things over there. I have a Marvel podcast, which has a Marvel Trivia League as a part of it. Chris just had a match. Malcolm, we're going to try to get him a match soon. And then you can find me just competing a little bit in Fan League Trivia. I'm kind of dipping my toe in the past few months, but yeah, on my channel, those where most of the stuff is happening. And then my letterbox, it's my name. Search it. A lot of, I don't think they're good reviews, but if you want to get my taste of things, they're on there. So thanks for having me on, as always.
Jordan, where can people find you online?
Well, not my daughter, you bitch. Which is my favorite quote from the Harry Potter series from Molly Weasley when she strikes down Bellatrix. I just wanted to throw that in there. So maybe that might come up, maybe not. But you can find me all over the social media at Movie Hero 2121. You can find us over on the Schmodown Friends and Family. That's a group that I run over on Facebook. And then I also do a show called Tournament Fights and Tier Maker Fights. We do it every Tuesday and Friday. So just a couple of episodes that we have coming up. We're going to be doing best tag team professional wrestlers because you have WrestleMania going on this weekend. So we're going to be doing a little shout out to that on Tuesday. Then we have best 80 sitcoms, and actually for best 80 sitcoms, if anyone would like to be a guest for that one, we do have a couple open spots for that one that we're looking for. So you can hit me up about that. And then we have a couple finishers to some series that we have going on. We have our best One Crazy Day / Night movie championship. So we did 2 other tournaments and we took the Sweet 16 from each one. We're going to do a half bracket, only 32 for that. And we're doing the exact same thing. We have a championship for our best rom-coms series as well. So you can watch for those. So yeah, that's where you can find me.
And you can find me on Tape Third always. And next week's going to be top 12 quotes from the Wizarding World franchise. And yeah, and you can find me hosting trivia all over the place on Formula Random. I'm actually going to be playing in this week's Formula Random.
Nice.
It's going to be on Stargate SG1. So that should be an interesting one. And yeah, and until next time, just keep listing shit. And so I find something to go out on.
Don't hate me because I'm beautiful.